We continue to urge you to get out there, go get tested, go get vaccinated so that you may be able to protect yourself and those that you love. Now, One Kenya Alliance principals have maintained that they will go to the ballot in the 2022 general elections, further dispelling rumors of supporting other presidential hopefuls. The leaders who count in Kiambu County said that they are not pushovers, further maintaining that they are the best option for the country as they have all the strategies and agenda that will sort out Kenya's issues.
We are demystifying ridiculous type of politics. We are building a nation which is unified purposely to be able to deal with the myriad challenges we are all aware of.
We want to tell Kenyans and show Kenyans that this is a team they can trust. This is a team whose interest is entwined with the destiny of our country.
To Kenyans, those who have eyes can see, those who have ears will hear. This is the future, and the future of the politics and the leadership of this great country of ours. The most important thing, I think, as Kenyans is they just ask themselves just one question, is who can they trust?
At this point in time, we are moving as Oka, and we shall not be distracted by side shows where people are trying to woo us left, right, and center. I think the positive out of it is the fact that there is somebody somewhere who is beginning to acknowledge where they were not acknowledging before, that Oka is not a pushover.
They also assured Kenyans that should they get to power, university education will be free. A section of legislators from the Coast region allied to Deputy President William Ruto now want the Ndungu land report made public. The MPs said the implementation of the report's recommendations will sort out the sticky land issues that have dogged Kenyans. The MPs argued that if the government was committed to revisiting the country's historical injustices, Kenya's land issue should be top priority. They were speaking at the Burhani grounds in Vita constituency, where the Deputy President engaged the Mombasa County community leaders. Now, Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho has endorsed Mvita MP Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir's bid to succeed him as the coastal county boss next year. Speaking during the county annual governor's Christmas tree lighting ceremony at the Treasury Square, Joho retweeted that he is not running for any seat in Mombasa and hailed Nasir as the next governor. On his party boss, Joho hailed Raila Odinga as the perfect fit for president and urged him to review the operations at the Mombasa port as well as streamlining land grievances and youth unemployment once he ascends to power next year. These are the elders from all the 6 sub-counties of Mombasa County resolved to rally the communities living in the county behind ODM leader Raila Odinga, who is making his 5th attempt in 2022, seeking to become Kenya's 5th president. Over 10,000 elders from Vita, Changamwe, Likoni, Jomvu, Nyali and Nyali sub-counties unanimously agreed in what was dubbed the Mombasa Declaration at the Sheikh Khalifa Hall in Mombasa town, saying that only Raila Odinga represents the interest of the people of the coast. They offered to support him towards realizing his ambitions of becoming president of Kenya after President Uhuru's term in 2022. The elders claim that the ODM leader has long advocated for coastal people's rights, particularly devolution, which they claim has helped resolve some of the region's long-standing issues such as landlessness and marginalization. And Kenya High Commissioner to Uganda Kilonzo Julius Kiema has launched his candidature to Kitui County gubernatorial race as his rural home of Kabavula in Zambani ward of Kitui East constituency. Kiema Kilonzo, who is also the former MP of Muthui, now renamed Kitui East, said he will contest the seat through Wiper Democratic Party of Kenya. Kiema said that Kitui County leadership needs radical transformational leader like him to fix the 5 years hiatus the county has experienced misrule under the current leadership. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
SpiceFM.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh, everybody steals. It's better a thief who brings something small back. And I say to myself, there's no better thief. A thief is a thief, period.
All those bribes, how much they are getting per year, how much inconvenience they are causing. As much as you call it a small case, it's worth it to be convicted.
The truth is, we are a tribal nation. Because if we were not tribal, and I want to go back to this, you cannot continue walking around with a mug which is clean outside and it's rotten inside.
We have become a Fuliza country. We have mortgaged our country because of debt.
You've got one chef working and the assistant chef wakati anatakana koroge unga nini hayuko.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
On a Monday morning, and what have we got in store today? Looks like traffic has already started to build up in some parts. Mombasa Road, that's already packed tight today, and in and outbound right around the Maritime, and that has already started. In the CBD, quite some traffic as well. Everywhere else doesn't seem too bad. It's building up ever so slowly on the Thika Superhighway, coming out of Westlands towards Waiyaki Way. That has also built up just a smidgen. It shouldn't be too bad though, at least for another hour or so, but we're going to keep an eye on things getting into the lazy week as we know it. But let's see what it looks like today, shall we? Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter through the morning's text on 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth.
How you doing? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. It's the 20th day of December 2021. It's 8 minutes after 6, and the conversations begin. How you doing, City?
I am doing very well.
Really?
Thank you. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
good.
Yes.
Huh?
You know, when you greet someone with the gusto you've greeted me, it behoves a similar response with a similar tempo. Okay?
Kabisa.
And a similar verve. Yes. Namna hiyo.
Ndu,
Yes.
do you also have the verb?
The what?
The verb.
The verb.
Nico, fine, thank you.
Reminds me, this one was actually, this was cracked by an Indian. Okay? The Indian says, you know, there are several things that we can't. For example, I can't say valve. You can't say what? Valve. Valve.
Right.
Okay. See now, I do me promise
Yes.
that I would sing for you. Remember the 12 days of Christmas.
Or they begin now.
No, they started a while ago. What's wrong with you? See, stick with it.
Okay. So today is what day?
Today is 7.
7th day of Christmas.
Seventh.
Himba basi.
Oh, you're actually waiting for me to sing?
Yeah.
No. We are not actually waiting for you to sing, dude. We are actually waiting for you to sing.
Inakwanga hivyo saa zingine. Okay. Today is day 7. On the 7th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 7 swans are swimming, 6 geese are laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
That song, I like the tune. The ding 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 thing is very good. Partridge in a what?
Partridge in a pear tree. Partridge is a bird.
Yeah.
So partridge is a bird.
Nani?
And a pear tree is Mutia pears.
Eric, Ebu, let me just ask. This lady, she sees me how?
Nakuona vizuri sana.
Yani, mi sijui partridge ni nini?
Sasa, you asked me. You understand?
I had
those
not
words?
finished. I had started.
Oh, you had
battery.
not finished?
Yes.
Pole. But I retract my...
So pears are gotten from trees.
Yes.
Okay.
Like apple.
Hembo.
So is there a partridge in a pear tree?
It just happens.
Eric, you've understood exactly where I was going with that thing. So, we were just asking.
Partridge is actually like... Partridge is actually like pecking at pears. How's that for alliteration this morning? They actually like pecking at pears. It just so happens that this partridge in a pear tree represented something else. Okay. Look at you.
And you said French hens.
I said French hens, yes. They're actually yummy.
Okay.
You like eating endangered wildlife. You're not a conservationist.
Don't tell anybody.
But you know I beamed, huh? You clearly studied your literature well. Man, you remember your stylistic devices. Alliteration. Hiya. Nilikuwa mwalimu.
Mwalimu wa literature.
Nilikuwa mwalimu teacher. Yes. Aye.
There you circle it and you give them 10.
10 marks and you say, it's actually, I'm giving you 15, but we're carrying this other 5 to the other. So you got 1.
Because I can't.
Okay, welcome to the conversation, everybody. We'll discuss very many things that have happened over the weekend and what we're expecting to see in coming days. But let's start on that COVID.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look around the world. Just 275 million is what we're looking at. So if we look at what we saw just about 7 days ago, we were at 271. The increase of cases around the world is quite significant, about 4 million cases in the last week, which when we look at the onset of COVID globally, of course, is not as rapid, but we're looking at a rapid increase, having considered that for the longest time, months, the cases were actually quite low. So then to see this kind of an increase over a short period of time is what has folks' alarm bells ringing. All right. So let's look at what COVID is doing in the country. Omicron variant, of course, here and present. We saw a high number of cases recorded yesterday, 1,372. This, again, is an alarm bell, and it's ringing very loudly because of the fact that we're coming off of recording 20 cases, 50 cases, 100 cases. And now we've been able to multiply that by 10, 11, 12. The positivity rate now stands at a staggering 24.4%. This 1,372 was taken from a sample size of 5,635. So it's worrying. The clarion call continues to be that people come out and get vaccinated. 23 million vaccines have come into the country. 8,861 have been used. Still have that 15 million. It hasn't changed, maybe about 300,000 since we spoke on Friday. But we still have 15 million.
300,000 have been administered in 3 days.
Over the last 3 days. So this includes Friday. Includes now the end of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right? But it hasn't really put a dent in the 15 million that has happened. The Ministry of Health says it's on course to reach 10 million by December 31st. That's 15 days from now. No, less than. It's about 10 days from now. Is that going to happen? Well, we don't know. This is what we're looking at. So we're dealing with 2 things at the same time now. An increase of cases. 3 things. An increase of cases. The threat of the Omicron variant, which we're now at 25, up from an initial 7. And from an initial 3, then it went to 7. Now we're at 25. And then, of course, the call for vaccines. But then folks are saying, look, people who've been vaccinated twice, they've received their full vaccination. Even those who got the 1 shot, some of those are among the cases of those who have been reinfected with COVID. So is it time for a booster shot? Those are the conversations that are being had right now.
You know, people are going to get infected. Omicron is highly infectious, we know it. The Delta variant hasn't gone anywhere. The numbers are going to rise. If we're talking about from the 4th of December up to now, we have 7,000 new cases. Those numbers, by the time we get to January, are going to have shot up.
Indeed.
The conversation ought to be, how do we vaccinate as many people as we possibly can? Because we know for a fact that the vaccinations are a barrier. They are a protection. We know. This discussion that we keep hinting on, lockdown, forget the lockdown. Focus on getting people vaccinated.
You know what? On Friday, we also did hear, maybe it was a rumor or just, that the Ministry of Health was just going to demand for either a vaccination certificate or a test at public service vehicle areas when you had to travel long distance. And I said, you know what would be great? Have vaccination points.
Yep.
At the bus stops.
Just people as they get into a bus.
Exactly.
Yes.
We already know.
Go to Machakos.
Yes, go to Machakos. We know where people board buses, railways.
And we know where they board them in large numbers.
Yep.
Exactly. Have 2 or 3 vaccination points at each bus stop, for example. You can do that. If you can give an edict and say, we're going to check and see as you're getting onto the bus if you have been vaccinated or not, and we will not then allow you to travel if you haven't. How about you vaccinate people then? How about you take these 15 million and put them at the designated points, which you already know exist?
Yeah.
You know they exist. Use them. We can help with the ideas. Use them.
Yeah. You know. However, I think Dr. Oluga may be doing something like that. Because I remember Oluga when there was what was it called? That rally that thing that was in Kasarani the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the
Azimio, yes.
Yeah.
During the Azimio, the NMS had a vaccination station.
They did.
At Kasarani. It's a good thing. So it's possible that Oluga maybe is organizing vaccination around the bus stations. We can ask him.
I think we should.
Yeah, we can ask him. Yeah. Let's take a break. We are live streaming the show on SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. 17 minutes after 6. Are you online? Say hello to us. Tell us where you are and present your vaccine certification. And we will say hello to you. If you don't, we are not going to recognize you. Joking. Good morning. 18 minutes after 6.
(24/7) around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
This holiday season is all about kujienjoy, kupiga sherehe na kuget lit ukiget Showmax. Anza kustream na upate more than you expected with the funny Showmax original film Baba Twins. How about jina lako kukua kwenye limelight as you feel the thrill with Famous, first and only on Showmax. And it's about kuchotwa na drama or holding on for dear life in the telenovela Kina. Kwa hivyo, get festive, get Showmax. Sign up for your 14-day free trial at showmax.com.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial *550*1# to read the Standard e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date for a reliable source with over 100 years of experience. With
mostly cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 17, highs of 25 and lows of 15 today. It's mostly clear at 14 in Nakuru, highs of 25. We'll see highs of 23 in Nyeri, where it's partly cloudy at 14, and Eldoret is cloudy at 12, highs of 24 and lows of 12. In Mombasa this morning, it's raining at 24, highs of 32, lows of 24. Rain showers in Malindi as well at 26, highs of 31 and lows of 25. In Kisumu, it's cloudy at 19 with highs of 29. We'll see highs of 30 in Kakamega, where it's currently cloudy at 15. Kampala is raining at 12, highs of 26 and lows of 19. It's also a wet morning in Dar es Salaam, highs of 32 and lows of 26. Lagos, there's a haze over the city very early at 25, highs of 34 and lows of 23 this Monday. Johannesburg is mostly cloudy at 12, highs of 22. We'll see highs of 32 in a wet Kinshasa, currently at 25. We'll come down to lows of 24. Out in Beijing, already into Monday afternoon at 9 degrees, it's sunny. We'll see highs of 12 and lows of -4. It's cloudy in Paris at 6, going to highs of just that and lows of -1. London is cloudy at 6, highs of 8 and lows of 6. And New York is dab on 0. Still Sunday night, we'll see highs of just 5 and lows of -2.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Hey, good morning.
Mornings done right.
Very
94.4 Spice FM.
Victor says he's tuned in, as does Robert Mbogo, spicing up Mombasa. From Laikipia, that's where Koinange Wahome is tuned in. Ben Apudo says, happy to see you guys back again. You've been sick. From Kalalani in Kwale. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, Ben. Rafael Muthui is tuned in from Nanyuki this morning. Good morning to you. Simon Murakana, Buyayi Marachi Busia specifically is where you're tuned in from this morning. Glad to have you here with us. Paul Omariba says, good morning, my crew. Welcome back as we start the new week. Indeed. Also tuned in is David Miendo, Dominic Muteto from Lusaka in Zambia. From the Great Wall of Kino is where Odero Jr. is tuned in. Evelyn Kavaya says, good morning on board this new week that the Lord has made and we shall rejoice. Indeed, you're tuned in from Riyadh. Peter Ongera, you're at the Lukanya train station. Hope it shows up, man. Cabras, that's where Simon Wapala is tuned in from. Stanley says, good morning, team TSR. Babu Siti Muga. The junior citizens in the car always enjoy your proverbs on their way to school. It's their first lesson.
Thank you.
Once a Tisha.
Always.
Always a Tisha.
Thank you, Tisha.
That is Mwarimu Tisha.
Mwarimu Tisha. Good morning, folks. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Karibuni sana, everybody. City, today's proverb.
Serious like that?
This one, I'm going to go to the coast.
You've been in the coast for a month.
Oh, no. I've been in Kenya for a month. Now I'm going to the coast. Okay. Avumae baharini, papa, kumbe ni wengi.
Avumae baharini, papa, kumbe ni wengi.
Yes.
What do you think papa is? Papa Godo.
I know papa is shark. I know baharini is sea.
And wengi is?
Many. There are many sharks in the sea. Kuba hakaba. Huh? Say it again.
Avumae baharini, papa, kumbe wengi.
I don't know what avumai is. I'm trying.
Well, it's a 4-hour show.
Just tell me.
So you have time.
You have time.
Just tell me.
Avumai baharini, like shaka. Papa.
Shaka.
Shaki.
Ile shaki ya papa.
Shaki.
Ya papa.
So now I want to know what it means.
Well, shark, sea, many. So, let's hold it for now. And you can all you like. Nothing is going to change. So
okay. So where's Ruka the papers?
Okay, let's do that. So apparently there's a red alert over a toxic nuclear cargo at the port.
Of?
Mombasa.
Okay,
and it's even in red. This red alert is written in red. A controversial ship that is docked at Mombasa port is loaded with harmful nuclear waste that has been disguised as padlocks and hardware items. The dangerous cargo was intended for dumping at the coast, putting the lives of millions of East Africans in danger. This is then reported on page 6. Looking at the details of it, MV Seagull Piraeus Voy, which has disguised the cargo as padlocks and hardware items, was detained after the Ministry of Health raised concerns. Investigating officers have established that the nuclear waste originated in Mumbai in India and was en route to the neighboring country of Tanzania. This is clearly a means of dumping dangerous substances in East Africa. We have proof that what was declared in just part of the contents, but radioactive material is also in the ship and is emitting high radiation, according to a source involved in the ongoing investigations on condition of anonymity, since he is not authorized to speak to the press. The investigations have further established that In shape, a shipping agent is responsible for the dangerous cargo. Exposure to high levels of radiation from nuclear waste can cause severe health effects such as skin burns and acute radiation syndrome. It can also result in long-term health effects such as cancer and cardiovascular disease. A team of officials from different government agencies at the Mombasa port has differed on how to best handle the cargo, which was destined for the Dar es Salaam port. Some in the team want the cargo returned to sender in line with the maritime law, but some are suggesting we release the cargo to Tanzania or open it for testing. The ship, said to be sailing under a Denmark flag, has in the past 1 month been to Kenya, Oman, India, and Pakistan. At the time of the last tracking of the ship on December 2nd, the ship was in Mumbai, India. According to Mr. Joseph Maina, who is from the Kenya Nuclear Regulatory Authority, we're in the process of deciding whether to collect samples to determine the actual substance.
So it was heading to Tanzania, Dar es Salaam
Yes,
port.
yes.
So they say.
And then it's intercepted here. And we even have, well, what are they called? Nuclear Regulatory Authority, who are on this particular case. Now, the question they are saying is they don't know exactly what to do. They are not
Do we
agreeing.
stop it here, open it? Do we send it on its way?
Test, or do we send it to Dar es Salaam so they can then do the opening and testing? Or do we send it back to sender, which is the international best practice? What do we do? So why are you discussing what to do?
Why? It shouldn't be so difficult to figure out here. You already know that there's harmful material on board.
And there's a protocol for such things.
Yes.
They exist.
Yes.
So why not just follow the protocol?
What maritime law demands that you do in a case like this is send it back. Now, you want to deal with issues of opening it here.
Where did the ship dock again?
Mombasa.
Okay. So why are we asking these many questions? Is Mombasa in Kenya?
It is.
Okay.
Last time I checked. They should actually send it back.
You know why I say, where I asked for the ship doctor?
Yeah.
I always find it baffling when things which I thought were straightforward and clear suddenly become completely grey.
Yeah, it's not clear what to do.
We don't know, it's confusing because
how many people are involved? We have
questions
now
are being asked. And
Nuclear Regulatory, we have Kenya Maritime Authority,
we have all those
the
people.
Ministry of Health, we have the Kenya Ports Authority. Everybody has a hand on this.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And that's where the problem comes in.
Yes. There are all these people. Essentially, what we're saying, there is diverse interest.
Yes.
Because every time you find a problem in this country, it is seen as an opportunity. And a business opportunity.
Yeah.
So the discussions we're having have nothing to do with the nuclear waste. It has nothing to do with the safety of Kenya. It has nothing to do with the clarity of maritime laws or nuclear waste. It doesn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Container ngapi? Okay.
There must be, by the time that a ship was leaving India, they must have known, all right, so we are going to declare on the manifest that we are carrying padlocks. But then there's somebody who knows the actual purpose of this trip.
They do.
When it's offloaded, they know what they're going to do.
All that. And they've made arrangements with the people where it is they're going to land.
Yes.
So it isn't a hit and miss.
It's not.
It's planned for, it's organized.
Yes. And it's lucrative. The same story goes on to say about how lucrative this dumping of toxic waste is, with waste mostly dumped in the territories of developing countries. In a policy brief released this year, the International Institute for Sustainable Development highlighted the issue of waste colonialism, in which toxic waste from developed countries is relocated to developing countries on ships of doom, some of which roam the ocean looking for a port to offload their toxic cargo. And then there's also a report in 2010 by Greenpeace, which claimed that it had photographic evidence from an inconclusive investigation by Italian authorities into the suspected burying of shipping containers filled with toxic waste in Somalia.
That's what I'm saying. You will find that they're agents of these. You see these many organizations that we're talking about suddenly that are involved. You'll find that there are people there within who are just, you know how you have a fight and there's some people who just go poke at the side just to make, they're not doing anything. Those are the ones who are very aware this thing was coming in. Those are the ones who have been spoken to. Those are the ones who are going to make a little bit of noise to make it seem as though this argument has some kind of integrity. Nothing. They're the ones whose palms have been greased.
Yeah. Or somebody else became aware of this thing happening and they had not been talked to. So they have come in and said, hey, no, what's happening? They're raising the alarm. They're releasing media statements. And all they're saying is, see me. It's 6:30. Let's take this break. Let's see how the roads are looking like on this lovely Monday morning. And then we continue with other newspaper headlines. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Sisi watu ya Rift Valley tunapenda publicity. Jacket ya msichana yangu, dress ya mama yake. Ama namna gani?
Western Kenya sikukuu ya Christmas ni ya kumix them, gather them. Unakula kila kitu mpaka unachoka.
Hapana, wacha tufurahi zote, tufurahi through to the new year in the city.
Sisi hapa Eastern ni kukula na kulala. Twende watina day. Sisi wa pwani tupenda vitu vya kudumu, ndio maana nafurahia back to school.
Hapa Central tunapenda ile offer ya Naivas ya back to work. Kazi lazima iendelee bila madeni.
Celebrate Christmas kiloko with Naivas' freshest festive offers. Shop with your Naivas card and bonus points with 2,000 Bob shopping vouchers instantly and 1,000 golds. If you don't have a card, get one in minutes at any Naivas store. Naivas Christmas Kiloko. Shinda kokote, sherekea kikwetu.
This is something people need to understand. Your money, my money, equals our money. We cannot have your money is our money and my money is my money.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life.
All right, the middle of the city is where we're seeing a lot of traffic this morning, building up right in the middle of the CBD. Also a little bit on Jogo Road, but that's normal happenings this morning. On the Thika Superhighway, a little bit, a smattering of traffic getting towards the Pangani underpass, but there's nothing major going on. Even Langata Road this morning hasn't gotten the memo. Things are, just starting to build up. Might change in about half an hour, but we'll be here to see what it looks like. Outer Ring is, getting a little bit of it as well, but again, nothing crazy. Let's keep an eye on things, all right? SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127.
All right, so Showmax, www.showmax.com. This is where you go to just find out more about Showmax and all the offerings that are available on Showmax. You can get movies, documentaries, children's programming. You can get series, your favorite shows, all of them available on Showmax on the go if you go for Showmax Mobile. And Showmax Mobile Pro or Showmax Pro, where you also get access to live programming, especially from Supersport, Sport and News. www.showmax.com. Check it out today.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4
It's 25
Spice
minutes
FM,
to
Nairobi.
7. So the issue of mines and collapsing mines continues. 10 miners narrowly escaped death after a gold mine collapsed in Ndira village, Siaya County. According to Emily Awimbo, the assistant chief at Ajigo sublocation in Bondo sub-county, the 10 were mining yesterday afternoon when the walls of the mine collapsed. It collapsed, but the 4 miners who were inside got out unhurt. This comes barely 2 days after another miner was killed in Waringa village. Dedan Onyango died on the spot after a loose stone from the top of the shaft rolled and hit him on the head. The Ndira village is the third time to collapse locally this month. This mine, the search for a miner who's still trapped in Abimbo continues. The rescue operation for Tomokwach, who was among the 8 miners who were trapped after the gold mine collapsed on December 2nd, is in its second week. On Friday, the owners of the excavators hired for the rescue operation pulled out. According to Siaya County Chief Officer for Governance, Joseph Amondi, the machines were withdrawn because of the risk they posed to the rescue operation and the rescuers. Safety of the mines.
It was a bit difficult to see that on Friday. It was
pulling
difficult
out of
to
the
see.
machine.
Yeah. I mean, what we've heard is that county government will send another batch of vehicles this week. But, folks, we're talking about a man who's been there for 2
Since
weeks
the 12th.
now, right?
18 days.
Yeah. It was very difficult to see them pull out, saying that, there was nothing that they could do and that they would try again. Essentially leaving this gentleman to whatever fate.
They're not. What they stated was probably just the patent truth.
That they can't. They're at the end of the tether.
These sort of rescue operations require specialized equipment.
Indeed.
It's not a very complicated
And
matter.
specialists.
Yes, people who know
Yes.
what to do and how to go about it.
Yeah.
Now, what we are then seeing is clearly whatever we heard the governor of Siaya saying is just something he said.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, right around the country, there are all these mines that are coming up and sprouting out. The ministry that is charged with overseeing this is mum. Completely mum. How do you allow people to actually set up? You're going to say, the ministry may not have a foothold. Yes, but NEMA does. NEMA looks into these matters and they are the ones who actually give certification to determine whether the environment will not be adversely affected by. Now, what do you think a collapse of a mine is?
Clearly that the environment was not ready to take
Precisely. All the care that is supposed to have been taken wasn't taken. You cannot tell me there's any part of this country where you cannot find NEMA. It's all over. So, again, the conversation about who does what and when they should do it. And every ministry and those departments get funding.
But even with all of this mechanics and policy and whomever, I'm thinking about this man who's gone 12, 13 days without food, without
alive,
water.
really?
Forget about food. Water. You can only go so long without water. You can last a little bit longer without food, but without water, the question is he alive even? No, he's not had anything to eat or drink. If he is alive, he must be emaciated now. And the thing is, we don't even know. That for me, that's where if we can, you put policy aside and say, try to save this one life that you can.
One of the things that also should be part of the conversation is one tragedy. It isn't the only tragedy. We've had this before, and they seem to be increasing because more and more of these mines are coming into operation.
Even apart from the mines. Look at the building that fell in Kirinyaga County just over the week. Same time period where, unfortunately, 6-7 lives lost so far and counting.
See, the question that one then asks is, should there not be a conversation of what is being done to ensure that the safety measures are now taken, given that we've seen what is happening? But that conversation is clearly absent. It isn't there.
It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, what are you looking at, City?
I'm looking at something that has disturbed me and it continues to disturb me. We've had a situation in Marsabit and now it has actually gone up. On page 12 of the Standard, hundreds flee their homes as 9 killed in gunfight are laid to rest.
Where is this?
This is Marsabit in Saku.
Wow.
The fighting, as they say, hasn't ceased, and people continue to die.
Yeah.
And the town is almost a ghost town. Marsabit town is almost a ghost town. Because part of the people who've been targeted by these bandits or these thugs, whatever you want to call them, have been people who conduct business. Now, one of the things that you'll find about Marsabit, among the communities that are in Marsabit County are the Burji. Now, the Burji are a small community, but they also happen to be the business people, the people who own lorries and own things like that. Now, people have moved either to Isiolo or some have moved to Nanyuki, simply because they feel unsafe. Now, I read about how it is that the commandant, the police boss of that particular area, has decided to instruct the, call it a semi-curfew, where the movement of motorbikes, movement of this. But if you ask me, the steps that are being taken are patchwork. There is a problem and a pattern that I am beginning to see. Eric, you are the one who first mentioned this and said every time we have an electoral cycle, somehow there are areas where violence seems to just, it doesn't spring, it explodes. Okay? Now, violence by its very nature is not something that you can call generic where it starts and just, no. Somebody somewhere instigates it. And when it lasts this long, it means there are people of influence and there are people who are listened to and there are people who have means. Because these people are armed.
Yeah.
We talk about a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hour fight, a gunfight. It means they have ammunition to last that long.
Right.
So where do they get the guns? Where do they get the bullets?
There's a supplier.
Hours of gunfire, surely. And you're telling me that such a thing somebody can actually have that sort of artillery and it isn't known to the state? Not true.
Of course they are known. Has gone up to a point where the president hosted leaders from the area.
Yes.
Remember, in July.
Yes.
And they were discussing about security and restoration of peace in the area, and they committed to peace. But they go back and nothing.
Someone is lying to the president. Someone is lying to the president. It's the same lie that is told about famine and people dying. But then the president realizes 2 million people are
on the brink.
Yes, and it's increasing. He says, guys, let's sort this thing out. He keeps being told, oh, it'll be done. This is being done. And yet, what the president is being told is not being done. How do you have a situation that just keeps escalating?
Something's up here.
And if you ask me, it's tied in with the 2022 elections.
It's an election issue.
Yes.
The Nation have given its full page coverage on page 11 today. The unending war in Marsabit. And they say, so 12 people were killed on Saturday. According to the conflict damage assessment study by the government and other agencies in July, more than 200 people have died, over 4,000 livestock stolen, 300 houses torched, 2,000 families displaced over the past 3 years in Saku alone. When you have an area where 200 people have died and thousands of families displaced, you're talking about people's lives just basically being turned upside down. Completely. And there's a government in place that considers itself a national government and the one that considers that it is doing the ultimate responsibility of a government, which is protection of lives and property. It has not protected these people. I think let's look at it a bit later in greater detail.
Sure.
Because there's also the issue of Kerio Valley. Residents of Kerio Valley have written to the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres.
Yes, and said, guys.
And they're saying, we have been neglected by our own government. The insecurity incident points to a deteriorating situation of human rights violation under the watch of the Kenyan government. Of concern is a frequent displacement of people and destruction of their property. It's disheartening that there is no compensation. This is a matter where people are saying now, okay, right, enough is enough. We have suffered enough. And they're saying people are armed and the government knows that people are armed and it's doing nothing to protect us. People are being killed left, right and center.
You know, among the people who died in this clash in Marsabit was an MCA aspirant. So it's accidental? No.
No such thing as coincidental either.
No.
We'll look at it in greater detail later.
It's 7:15. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
Deep fried, choma, stew, breast, wings, gizzards, thighs, quarter, half, sausages. There's no greater meat than chicken. Knowing the source of your chicken, however, is key to truly enjoying your favorite dish. Tune in to Sugar and Spice from 11 a.m. with Yolanda Mulwa and DJ Absolute to learn more about how Kenchik is cuckoo about food safety, nutrition and taste from farm to family.
What makes a man?
I had an advertising job that was toxic. It was difficult. I'm not saying the people were toxic. I don't think anyone is inherently toxic.
Don't ever let someone's perception of you become your reality.
How do we navigate through career, family, and life?
I was an average kid. I wasn't a poor student.
Examining what defines a man.
We derive our identity as men based on external factors, on things that people can be able to see.
A space for men to open their experiences and more. Starting Thursday, 18th November on the Standard Digital YouTube and Facebook page. Hosted by Eric Latiff.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It is 13 minutes to 7. Kenya's biggest conversation continues. Ndu, what are you looking at?
Okay, well, I mean, just in line with the festivities, hoteliers eye 95% booking despite COVID. This is, for businesses in the country, a very good thing in terms of the economy. Last year, they could not boast of such numbers throughout the year from January to December. They are looking forward to more domestic bookings this month compared to last year. Sector players note mutation of the virus may complicate the fight against the pandemic. When COVID-19 struck in late 2019, world economies went down quite literally. For the coast region, whose economic mainstay is tourism, restricted movement hurt it to the core, with many job losses at hotels and other industry players sent workers home. However, with travel restrictions lifted and vaccinations, hoteliers are optimistic the sector will bounce back. Tourists, both local and international, who've stayed away from the beaches for fear of contracting the virus are now trooping back. Some industry players say they have had to make adjustments to lessen the adverse effects of the pandemic. There are some who are optimistic that the COVID-19 vaccination will help the industry recover, restoring the confidence among visitors. It may take time before we fully recover, but I think we are on course. This is according to one hotelier. We hope that with the vaccination and by following the laid down protocols, coronavirus will not be a problem. The KTB chairman, Jimmy Karaoke, said 2021 was better than last year. Karaoke, however, noted that the continued mutation of the virus may complicate the country's fight against the pandemic. Victor Shitiaka, who is the Kenya Coast Tourist Association chairman, said they're looking forward to more bookings this December compared to last year. Hotels from Lamu to Shimoni have been receiving many guests, mostly local tourists. We anticipate over-age occupancy to be 95%. Julius Owino, who is the KCTA chief executive, said the December holidays this year look promising owing to a surge in domestic tourists. And those who are still struggling to get back on their feet are looking at December as a possible saving month to be able to get things through. 1.7 million, the number of Kenyans who lost jobs last year, including the hotel industry due to the pandemic. But they're looking at those numbers getting better for Christmas this year.
You know, the one thing that you realize is that domestic tourism is one that can be lifeline for this industry.
I'm telling you.
Now, are domestic tourists looking for the same thing as the foreign tourists? I think that's a conversation that the industry needs to have. Because when you think about, all right, people want to go to the park, and you talk to people, many operators, they'll tell you, when local Kenyans come, they're asking for different things.
Yes.
The cuisine, they want a different cuisine. They're saying, where is Nyama Choma? So what are we doing? We're just going out there to look at animals for the whole day. What else? And people going to the national parks, they're like, okay, yeah. So I see a lion. What else? What else am I coming to do when I come to the park?
There's something that is interesting about us Kenyans and wildlife. If you grow up in a certain era when the railway actually functioned, simply by boarding a train, whether it's from Mombasa to Nairobi or Nairobi to Kisumu, you saw wildlife to your fill.
Right. Yes.
To your fill. So as an adult, when somebody asks you to go to a game park, you ask to do what exactly?
Exactly.
You're
But
going
this
to
is the
see
thing.
zebras,
because you
buffaloes.
have
I've
it.
seen zebras, I've seen buffaloes, I've seen
elephants,
I've seen giraffes,
leopard.
So
the thing is, and I think it's brilliant. That's actually a very interesting question, because you'll find that domestic tourists are looking for something like a party in the wild.
Yep.
Give them music,
Yes.
give them whatever in the bush. And they'll
Conservationists are saying
"Perfect.
now that
we cannot
do.
But now imagine the Europeans who, for example, especially in certain part of Europe, are only seeing the sun 4 months in a year and are living in cement city. So now you're taking them out into the bush. There's foliage, there's flora, there's fauna, there's the sun, and then there's wild animals walking around.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, don't give them anything more. This is heaven. That's what they're looking for.
Yep.
You know? So I have I have said, to save the tourism industry, domestic tourists are the ones who are going to save it now. You need to create that sweet spot between what you're calling conservancy and then the invitation of domestic tourists who can essentially raise the revenue.
You go with your kids to the national park. Nightmare. People who are parents will say, okay, so you took them the first day. They saw the animals and they come
okay,
back.
next.
It's
so tomorrow.
What are we doing today? We are going to see the animals.
Hey.
Again. And then when they think they were out there for 4-5 hours on the drive
no.
in a car and they couldn't even get out. Okay, so they saw Pumbaa. They saw...
So?
Then next...
You know, the story of local tourists is a 20-plus old conversation. I recall the time when we had upheavals at the coast with the Kayabombo. Foreign tourists were not only advised not to come, but they also didn't come. That is one of the first times that this conversation about local tourism began.
Yes.
And the truth is, they saved the day.
Yes.
Isn't it?
You talk to operators of these leisure places, they will tell you they prefer to have locals any day. You know why? They spend. Say, locals spend money. All these tourists you see come with package deals.
Yes, they do.
That money, what you get here is a trickle. But you're talking about people who know that when you go on holiday, the whole purpose is for you to spend as much money as you can possibly spend. It's locals. Why do you think it is? With the county government, there's been a proliferation of all these places in the counties. Who do you think goes to these places? It's not tourists. Not foreign tourists, rather. It's locals.
Yep.
Think of any spot around the country which have sprouted over time since devolution came in. It is locals who visit these places. And it's locals that they depend on.
Yep.
So, the idea of foreign tourism is all good and well. But we locals understand the idea of holiday. And the idea is not to go home to your rural areas and go and plow a farm so that by the time you're through that 1 week, you're even more tired than when you actually went. No, that's
not a holiday.
No, people have figured that one out.
Yeah, it's changed. It's changed.
So when they package these things, let them package it so that locals can benefit. And there are people who have tried. I've seen it. During
works.
Easter, you find Kenya Airways, Jumbo Jet. They've partnered with some hotel to give something. Those work.
Yep.
Even on the weekends.
Works.
It doesn't have to be like a holiday.
No, it doesn't.
And the population that's now readily going out and spending money, the young population, the millennials, they're looking for something completely different.
Yeah.
If you look at the coast and the parties that are going to be held at the coasts around this time.
Yeah.
If you look at Nairobi and the concerts that are being held in Nairobi,
what does
with
it tell you?
international artists and local artists, the Sauti Sol and the others organizing concerts, what does that tell you? That's what they're looking for.
That's what they're looking for.
So,
they can start complaining, these people, they want to come and bring noise to the park.
That's
Okay,
the point.
Think about it.
They do want to bring noise because that's the idea of having a good time.
Yes.
Tell the animals these guys are coming.
Join us.
For the next couple of days, it's just like speaking
Tell
to
the animals these guys are coming.
It's like alerting your neighbors. You know what? I'm hosting. So if you hear a little noise, just bear with me.
A couple of days and they'll be gone. Till next year.
There's a story on page 3 of The Nation. Keen of a man crushed to death by load demand answers. A company is facing difficult questions after an employee died in a work-related accident a week ago, but the case was not reported to the police until 5 hours later. Lazarus Masinde, who was 33 years old, died on the spot when a 1-ton load slipped off a forklift and crushed him at the South Sioux Farms Limited, SSF, on Masai Road in Nairobi, according to an insider who called the wife to tell her of the incident that happened on 11th of December at around 11 a.m. But the company did not report this until after 4 p.m. The nearest police station from this company is barely 300 meters. A senior police officer at the station told the Nation that the company's representatives told him the incident happened in the morning, though it was reported in the evening. What also happened between the time 11 and 4, there was cleaning of the surface where the man died.
Oh, come on.
So it so happens that they were working somewhere and there's a forklift. So the guy noticed that the load was slipping off the forklift. He wanted to try to hold it.
Oh,
dear. It's 1 ton heavy. Crushed him. Now, the company says that they actually acted very fast and they were taking him to hospital, to Kenyatta National Hospital. He died on the way. Other workers are saying, no, this man was crushed. He actually died here. And then there were some staff who were instructed to clean the area.
Tampering with evidence.
Now, police are saying that you tampered with the particular evidence. So even once we've gone there, we don't know what exactly happened. The company says there's a member of staff who innocently just saw what happened and he just came to clean. The family of the gentleman is saying we want answers. DCI Embakasi has started investigations into this matter to establish what exactly happened. Why did you report the incident 5 hours later?
More important,
when you say that you were taking him to hospital and he died on the way to hospital, can we ascertain that this is the case?
So he died on the way to hospital, so where's his body?
No, the body is there. They reported.
You know what is actually of interest? You will find that establishments such as these ones also have CCTV.
Yes.
Okay? So, there'll be CCTV footage. The owners of this company, should we say, have a lot
to answer here. Yes. Because there are conflicting tales here.
Yep.
There's a worker who is said to be innocently cleaning up. There is the story of taking him to hospital. There's a story of then cleaning up the entire scene. Which one?
Yeah. He's left behind a wife whom they got married just 2 years ago and a few months old child.
Poof.
So an NGO that's helping them, someone who works for this NGO says, I knew Lazarus when he was still a young man working as a domestic worker somewhere in Kimilili. He came to Nairobi in 2017 and started working at SSF. The family is still very poor and he was a diligent man doing his best to lift his young family from poverty. One of those sad stories. The company says they had promised to support the family with the funeral expenses, a post-mortem and transporting the body to his rural home for burial. But a family friend says this has not happened. And he says, we want to know why SSF lied about the time of his death. We want to know why the company did not report the incident to the police. The Embakasi DCI did respond to our queries about the late reporting of the incident and cleaning up of the crime scene.
I hope this organization has requisite insurance for such things. I hope. Because if they don't, there's something called workman's compensation, which is also going to kick in, whether you like it or not.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was not some random guy. He worked for them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And he died while at work.
Yes.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Keep it right here. We'll be looking at more news coming from the country and from around the world in the next hour. Remember, you can always join the conversation. SpiceFM KE on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, or on Instagram. Post your comments, your queries, or whatever you're thinking. And also you can call in 0719 012 600. It's now 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newsline Dennis Ossetti. One Kenya Alliance principals have maintained that they will go to the ballot in the 2022 general elections, further dispelling rumors of supporting other presidential hopefuls. The leaders who camped in Kiambu County say that they are not pushovers, further maintaining that they are the best option for the country as they have all the strategies and agenda that will sort out Kenya's issues.
We are demystifying ridiculous type of politics. We are building a nation which is unified purposely to be able to deal with the myriad challenges we are all aware of.
We want to tell Kenyans and show Kenyans that this is a team they can trust. This is a team whose interest is entwined with the destiny of our country.
To Kenyans, those who have eyes can see, those who have ears will hear. This is the future, and the future of the politics and the leadership of this great country of ours. The most important thing, I think, as Kenyans is they can just ask themselves just one question, is who can they trust?
At this point in time, we are moving as Oka, and we shall not be distracted by side shows where people are trying to woo us left, right, and center. I think the positive out of it is the fact that there is somebody somewhere who is beginning to acknowledge where they were not acknowledging before, that Oka is not a pushover.
Now, a section of legislators from the Coast region allied to Deputy President William Ruto now want the Ndungu land report made public. The MP said the implementation of the report's recommendations will sort out the sticky land issues that have dogged Kenyans. The MPs argued that if the government was committed to revisiting the country's historical injustices, Kenya's land issue should be top priority. They were speaking at the Burhani grounds in Vita constituency, where the Deputy President engaged the Mombasa County community leaders. Still in the coast, and Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho has endorsed Mvita MP Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir's bid to succeed him as the coastal county boss next year. Speaking during the county annual governor's Christmas tree lighting ceremony at the Treasury Square, Joho reiterated that he is not running for any seat in Mombasa and hailed Nasir as the next governor. On his party boss, Joho hailed Raila Odinga as the perfect fit for president and urged him to review the operations at the Mombasa port as well as streamlining land grievances and youth unemployment once he ascends into power next year. This as leaders from all the 6 sub-counties of Mombasa County resolved to rally the communities living in the county behind ODM leader Raila Odinga, who is making his 5th attempt in 2022 seeking to become Kenya's 5th president. Over 10,000 elders from Vita, Changamwe, Likoni, Jomvu, Nyali and Nyali sub-counties unanimously agreed in what was dubbed the Mombasa Declaration at the Sheikh Khalifa Hall in Mombasa town, saying that only Raila Odinga represents the interest of the people of the coast. They offered to support him towards realizing his ambition of becoming president of Kenya after President Uhuru's term ends in 2022. The elders claim that the ODM leader has long advocated for coastal people's rights, particularly devolution, which they claim has helped resolve some of the region's long-standing issues such as landlessness and marginalization. And Kenya High Commissioner to Uganda Kilonzo Julius Kiab has launched his candidature to Kitui County gubernatorial race at his rural home at Kavuvula in Zambani ward of Kitui East constituency. Kiama Kilonzo is also the former MP for Butetu, now renamed Kitui East. He said he will contest this seat through Wiper Democratic Party of Kenya. Kiama said that Kitui County leadership needs radical transformation like him to fix the 5 years hiatus the county has experienced misrule under the current leadership. Now, 1,372 people tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 5,635, posting a positivity rate of 24.4%. The tally of confirmed positive cases are now to 63,707, while the cumulative tests so far conducted at 2,930,320. The Health Ministry also said 74 people recovered from the disease, 24 of them from the home-based isolation and care program, and 50 from various health facilities countrywide. Total recoveries now stand at 249,296. And Christmas travels will increase the spread of the Omicron variant, even among the fully vaccinated, according to top U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci, who advises the U.S. government on the pandemic, said the variant is now raging throughout the world. Countries are tightening measures as the heavily mutated variant spreads. In Europe, France and Germany are among those to issue travel restrictions, and the Netherlands has imposed a strict lockdown over Christmas. Governments are also ramping up their COVID booster vaccination programs. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Okay, so wet streets on a Monday morning, that combination only equals a little bit of traffic. Interestingly enough, it's not so bad this morning. Langata Road, just a little bit at the roundabout as you're headed towards Timor. Raila Odinga Way looks really good, then leading you towards Ngong Road, and then down towards Community. That's all right. Haile Selassie then coming in from Landis and the Kamkunji roundabout. That's what we see the most clog up happening, as well as Jogo Road this morning. On the Thika Superhighway, we have traffic all the way towards Survey, but then on Kiambu Road, it's actually quite thin, not too bad this morning. Coming into the city from Limuru Road as well, that has built up just a little bit. And so traffic this morning is really not that bad. It's a few minutes after 7 o'clock. We should be in traffic hour soon. Right now, not so bad. Let's keep an eye on things, guys. Remember the Southern Bypass, Eastern, Northern, and Red Hill Link Road. Looking good this morning. You can use those. SpiceFM KE on Twitter talks was there. Text on 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the
8 minutes after
Situation
7.
Room.
Good morning.
The
How
only
are you
way.
doing? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. If you're just joining us, if you've been with us since 6 a.m., asante sana for keeping it locked. This is the second of a 4-hour show this morning, and CT Muga has the day's proverb.
Avumai baharini, papa, kumbe ni wengi.
Avumai baharini, papa, kumbe ni wengi.
The word you're looking for, vumai, root word vuma.
Vum vum.
Yes.
Okay, God. No, I'm floating.
No, you're not.
In the ocean, literally. Je ne comprends pas.
Okay.
Vuma. Nothing.
Nothing.
No. You guys have refused to tell me.
Call a friend.
We've actually told you.
Do 50-50.
Vuma. Omo. True blackouts.
You know,
People are going to be difficult like this.
it's not a question of being difficult. It's a question of asking ourselves a simple question. How many hints must we give you before the hint sinks? Eric actually told you. Vroom.
Vroom is a car. The sound of a vehicle.
Well, you're heading in the right direction.
Avumai.
Buzz. Rumble.
A buzz in the ocean is what? See, man.
You know, I didn't read it as a bland, monotone proverb.
Avumai.
Yes, exactly.
Kumbe.
Kumbe.
Avumai.
Yes, exactly. Kumbe haya. Kumbe papa ni wengi.
Something.
What
Say apparently.
If you
there
are
sharks in the water.
sea, yes.
If you are in the sea?
Yes, you assume there's only one shark and we're telling you, wake up.
There are many. So what's Avumai?
My dear, that one, I have to allow you to continue along that way. You just carry on.
Take some time.
Take some time. Let air get into it.
Take some time.
When the air has gotten into it, You may actually find that it is simpler than you imagine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you know this county of Nairobi?
Mm.
It has a budget of 38.8 billion shillings.
Wow.
This current financial year.
It does.
38.8 billion shillings is how much it wants to spend this year. Providing services. Giving you services for all. Now, to raise that money, there is, of course, what they got, the revenue allocation from the national government, and there is the on-source revenue. So, the part of the on-source revenue, that is going to be adjusted from next month, because in the financial bill 2021, the city county introduced new levies and increased charges for different services to raise the money for this particular budget. Top among the newly imposed levies is a new 200 shillings fee charged to open a file at Pumwani Maternity Hospital. Open file, 200 bob.
Okay.
Now, other services being offered. 200 shillings for consultation per visit. 600 bob for no plant contraception. 100 for oral contraception pills and injection. Inserting an intrauterine contraceptive device will cost 200 bob. Removal, 800 bob. Anti-D injection, 5,500 bob. If you want to set up a temporary site toilet in Nairobi, or bathroom, or changing rooms, you'll part with between 10,000 and 50,000 shillings, depending on the size. And if you want an authority to temporarily to build temporary occupation at a construction site, 50,000 bob. Are you getting all those things?
Where? This is okay. The ones at Pumwani, currently, I have a question.
Yeah.
How are they being dealt with? Currently, how are those things being offered?
I'm not sure.
I don't assume that they're completely free.
Yeah. It's a hike in fees.
Yeah, there's
You'll
a
find
hike.
probably it was 50 bob.
Yeah, so
it's
now
gone to
make it 200.
Or it was 150, it's gone to 200, but there is some increase somewhere.
Okay. It'll be then difficult for a lot of people to be able to afford this. That's the truth.
What I don't know, though, we're talking about Pumwani. It's a public facility. Yes?
Yes.
We're talking about Pumwani maternity. Okay, so those who are seeking services there mostly are people who are expectant or just delivered.
Yes.
And we know that there is the Afia, what's it called? Linda Mama.
Yes.
The free maternity by government.
Yes.
And the government pays NHIF. And then NHIF pays the facility.
Yes. So most folks walk into Pumwani and don't part with a cent.
Yes.
Right.
So are we saying that the county is now going to charge NHIF more?
More. Or that the extra will then be
borne
the individuals
by the individuals.
And have they agreed with NHIF that this is going to be the case? What is the support structure that they have for this? We understand that they want to charge more, yes, but does it comply with other structures that need to also be in tandem with what it is that they're saying?
Yep.
It is strange. It is truly strange, truly strange, that we are attempting something that hasn't been done anywhere else on the planet. We are taxing ourselves into development.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to raise more money.
We need to raise more money. We need to tax our people more. See, raising more money doesn't necessarily mean you have to tax people more. No.
The one that's going to be more painful is, as painful as the others, is if you're bringing cargo to Nairobi, to offload that cargo, you pay. It'll cost you between 30 bob and 3,000 bob to offload. Offloading a lorry of flowers will cost 3,000 shillings. A ton of macadamia and French beans, 1,000 shillings. Offloading avocado in Nairobi, 800 shillings per pro box and 1,500 shillings per pickup. Tomatoes, 200 per large box weighing above 100 kilos.
What?
100 for medium box weighing above 50 kilos. 50 for small box weighing 50 kilos and less for tomatoes. Imported fish, 30 shillings per box. Thorn melon, 50 bob per box. Mira, 500 shillings, for a box weighing above 100 kilos and 1,000 for those above 500 kilos and 100 per kilogram. All these for offloading. And this is food items that we were just talking about. That translates to the cost of the food at the market going up to cater for this.
Wow. What was the price that you were giving for birth at Pumwani?
How much will it cost you to give birth?
What are they increasing it by? Was there something like that there?
There is a consultation, 200 bob per visit.
Now, I'm just remembering, I think 2019, 2020, the numbers that we were receiving at Pumwani alone for women who were going in to have their babies was 60 per day. 60 women per day going to deliver, right? We're not talking about the other hundreds of women who are going in for consultation or antenatal or this, that, the other thing that needed some kind of procedure done. We're not even talking about procedural birth control and things like that. So 60 times 200 is what?
A lot.
Yeah. So these numbers is, I think, what is clearly being targeted here is, hold on a minute. Where do we have
16,000?
Where do we have large numbers of people going to procure a particular service on a day? And it's almost as though the magic wand then landed on Pumwani because you have many, many people who are going here on a daily basis and you'll be able to get something from them who, by the way, have no choice. You're not going to say, well, all right, I've come to have my baby and I'm in labor. Yeah. Let me come tomorrow. No, I mean, you're going to pay, right?
Yep.
This is the thing.
On the other hand, look at it this way. If you are the service provider here, the government, all right, you need to maintain Pumwani working.
Sure, because it's had too many issues where it was not.
So you have to keep Pumwani running. For you to keep Pumwani running, how much is it costing you every day to keep Pumwani running and servicing the 60 people who are coming to access services here on a daily basis, just childbirth?
Yeah.
How much is it costing you? So do you need to raise the fee so that you can at least match some of this? And then some of the money goes into City Hall.
This concept isn't new. It used to be called cost sharing. And it came with the district focus. And this was the realization in the time when Daniel Arap Moi was president, that all these free health services and so forth were all good and well, but a certain minimum payment. Minimum payments in government hospitals have been there. It was never erased. It still exists. You pay for services. Okay? Ask anybody who's gone to a government hospital, you pay for, even now as we speak, people still pay for services. It's a minimal cost, but they pay for services. The big question is not even the payment. People understand that they need to pay for services. All right? The money that are collected, first of all, collated, should be public knowledge and accounted for.
Sure.
Because, fine, we understand the hospital needs to be maintained. We do understand. So the question one would ask is, fine, of the monies that you collect from the individuals who come to the hospital, what percentage of this money or this money that you collect, what percent does it represent in terms of the cost of running these facilities? Is it really a help?
Exactly.
That information is never, ever, ever
shared. It's never shared.
Yes. Hospital care in this country is not free. Even in government services, hospitals rather, it's not free. It's never been free. So when you hear of costs being raised, Eric, you do raise a valid point in that we do not know what it is that is costing the county to actually maintain those hospitals, number one. Devolved function and all that, we are not clear about how much money they actually get for maintaining those particular... There's a lot that one doesn't know. The discussion would perhaps be a lot more complete if we were told, folks, this devolution we speak of, let's just break it down for you. This is the amount of money that we get.
Yeah.
And this is what it actually costs to run each of these facilities. Pumwani, this is what it costs. This is what we get. So this shortfall, this is what we need to be able to keep it functioning. It would make sense. But in the absence of that, I'm saying that this discussion is actually incomplete.
It is. To be able to know exactly how. And then, even if you're going to... Look, even if you remove it from the medical care that we're talking about now for individuals, and you want to look at then what the county is trying to raise in terms of additional fund Because, look, they've said this 38 billion is what the county wants to spend. The assumption is that it has been budgeted and it's planned and said, look, if we're going to get the county running properly, this is the amount that we need, right?
Yep.
Now, this option has come about as one of the ways to inject the funds. It would be necessary then to see how much then, if you're increasing here by this is then how much you expect to input into this 38 billion of yours. You made it public, make it public.
Yes, you do, but there's also this other little point. That budget also must be scrutinized.
This is what I'm saying. You made it public, make it public.
Because if you're telling us that you need 38 billion, we've got it. Break it down.
For what? Maintenance of roads,
break it down.
Maintenance of hospitals, for example, boosting in education. You're talking about
They have all
so
those
many
things. The budget, as presented and approved by the National Assembly, has all those line items. X will go into health, X will go into environment, and X will go, this and that will go into maintaining our markets, this and that will go into taking care of our roads, this and the other will go into paying salaries. But then, let's look at the previous budgets. When you set out to do this, as how much of that is going to development?
Did you actually,
So when it went into development, did we actually see the development or did we not?
Actually, Eric, you see, it's like you picked my brain and figured out what I was going to say, because I was going to ask. It can be passed. But the costs that are reduced to these particular activities, are those the real costs?
Yes.
If it's a project that is continuing, if it cost X shillings previously, why is it costing this now? What happened to the other budget that was supposed to have contributed to the development of this particular aspect, and how far did it go? That's the query I'm talking about.
I was talking to a friend of mine called Nashan. Unfortunately, Nashan has a son who's undergoing treatment for cancer in hospital. Now, one of the good and positive things about NHIF, and now actually, let me just plug it in here. So because Nashan's son is a high school student in a public school, he gets an enhanced cover from NHIF. So just walk into hospital, walk out. NHIF caters for everything. And this is called EduAfia. EduAfia is the package. It's more enhanced than even civil servants. As long as you are a child in school, go to hospital, you get treatment. So he's going through, of course, chemo and all, and he's getting the treatment. However, we're discussing and saying, all right, so you see the kind of facility that KNH is and the kind of facility that Mama Lucy is, and this new other facilities that have been built. And National was saying, no, I appreciate seeing these facilities. But the question that lingers in my mind, Eric, is 21 new health facilities were done in a year. In the middle of a budget year, where did the money come from? If it was possible for the government to just sit and decide, excuse COVID, blah, 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 but it was possible for the government to get money to finance construction of 20 health facilities within a year.
Under 1 billion shillings.
Yes. What does that tell you?
Let me ask the question. If I understand what happened with Nairobi Metropolitan Services and the county government, they split functions, isn't it? But even as they split, there had been a budget. Is that not so?
There was a budget.
Okay, so if there was a budget, are we saying that budget had actually expired or had been exhausted? Are we saying that there was money in that particular budget to be able to cater for these developments?
There was money that was easily redirected into this.
Yes, exactly.
So there's money that came from the budget of Nairobi City County.
Yes.
But remember, NMS is also a department in the presidency.
Yes, it is.
So it also got some money from the national government.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's government.
All of it is government.
Is government. It was possible for government to sit and say, okay,
let's take some of this and
let's
put it
take
here.
here. Let's put up new health facilities. Okay? And cater for those and bring up these new health facilities within a year. And the impact that is having to the people. If it was possible to do it, why hasn't it been done before? What needs to be the trigger so that we can see more schools being built like that? So we can see markets. Markets have been a talk for so long. We are doing this. We are going to put up a multi-story Wakulima market. No. We are going to say multi-story Westlands market. No. It's there. It's a Kishel. It's taken forever. Why is it? It just gives you the possibility. What is possible?
Eric, the Kenyans have a certain phrase that is only Kenyan. When someone takes you for granted, we say they're assuming you.
Yes.
Okay? I think the people who work with the president are assuming him. You know why? What do you think happened for the president to get to the point of saying, okay, since these things need to be done, and from what I've seen, I'm being told stories, I'm restructuring this thing completely. Forget this civilian nonsense. I'm going to take this guy, put him there. This is your mandate.
Military, come.
Yes, I'm going to do this. Yeah, okay. SER, tell us, railways. Nanyuki, Kisumu, oh yes, I saw, 15 billion here, 38 billion here. Said, okay, fine. Military, you have engineers, yes. NYS, you have such people, yes. Just do a little arithmetic for me and tell me what it would cost to refurbish this line. Nanyuki Nairobi, 1.8 billion. You sure? Yes, done. Kisumu? So I think something like 3.8 billion. You sure? Yes, okay. Kenya Pipeline, we have the money. We can give you the money. You can? Yes, we can. You sure? Yes, in fact, here it is. Done. What do you think has been happening all this time to the point, because that's something I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
To the point where the president looks and says, you know something? This term of mine is coming to an end, and I'm going to be seen as someone who didn't do anything. And yet, every indication that I've had and I've believed when I make those statements that these things are being done. Evidently, they're not being done. Case in point, when we wanted to bury the immediate former, not the immediate, President Arap Moi.
No, yeah.
How long was it taking to do this Nyeri stadium? Was it not one story, then another story?
Then he drove. He drove there on a Sunday afternoon by himself,
and saw the blah blah going on.
And said, "Now
national youth were brought in." Now, everything that followed thereafter, including the funeral service and so forth. Did you see how beautiful and how it worked clockwise?
Succinct.
Precisely. It means the president is being assumed. There are people in this government who seem to think the president says this, then they say something else. And I'm attaching it to the issue of security. What the president is being told and what's happening, two different things. When you talk about food security, what the president is being told and what is happening, another different thing altogether. If what happened in Nairobi is possible, we don't need further evidence that it can be done.
Absolutely. And so like when you're asking, okay, so what needs to happen so then you have a number of schools then built in different parts of the country where clearly overcrowding is an issue. Yep. What needs to happen so that, roads are sorted out, so that people who are taking their goods from farm to market are not stuck on the road for 3 days and then it spoils? Well, clearly, the person who is making decisions then either one needs to be told the truth or needs to get involved. He got involved. He got involved and said, you know what, guys? And he said, I'm not going to sit, for example, and watch Nairobi go to ruins because that's on the path, that's where it was going. Yeah. And said, all right, we need to control, let's bring this thing under our control. Can we move some money about? Yes. The railways issue, we've seen that money has been disappearing down the drain. Now, let me ask the question directly. Instead of giving the person that I've appointed to do it, let me ask myself, let me see if you lie to my face.
And he still got lied to.
Yep, he was assumed.
Yeah. If it was possible to do 20 health facilities with less than $1 billion shillings in less than a year.
883 million.
In less than a year.
Turnkey, meaning
hospitals.
Building, equipped, ready to go.
The government has now, in this stimulus package, blah, 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 that the president announced on Mashujaa Day, set aside 8 billion shillings to construct classrooms in the country. How many classrooms are you talking about? Are they going to be done? Can you imagine if we actually just focused on saying, okay, 8 billion this year, 8 billion next year, 8 billion. In 5 years' time,
we are done.
This whole story of you're talking, okay, now we have CBC, now what are we going to do?
There's going to be an overlap of classes.
Forget that.
Would be sorted.
Because the money apparently is always allocated for these things, but God alone knows where that money goes. Yeah. But this isn't an ailment that you can point to just one particular government ministry or department. No, I think it's everywhere. Because stealing has become a national pastime, and we have normalized it. So anyone in their position of authority, a budget, people just jump with joy.
I'm like,
you know where we are going. Wait till I have to put my own. Everybody's ready.
And I think this is me dramatizing. The question is also, okay, let's present it. No. Parliament, to pass it,
they also need.
So what do you think they'll want? Let me talk to somebody. Okay, they've said this. This is okay. Thing goes to Parliament. A few casual questions here and there, query here and there. Yeah, this budget looks okay.
Give it. And
Then-
question are asked.
Yes.
And it just...
It's gone. And you see, once Parliament passes it, now the operationalization of it, it is a question that we're going to be asking in the next hour with regards to you in the county governments, okay? You've received X shillings over all these years. Where did it go? Can the citizens do an audit and locate and say, this money you speak of, we can tell you that cost this, that cost this, that cost this, that cost this. We can tell you, yes, our money was well spent. I would like to hear someone telling me how their money was well spent. Because
Isn't it sad, though, that you can look around every sector and that money then has been allocated to get certain things done? The painful part is that you can look around and say things have been done inadequately, and with the money that has been allocated, they could have been done beautifully well.
Let's do the maths.
Not even saying I need extra. No, the one that you've been given.
Do the maths, huh? If you look at the example of Nairobi, all these counties, all receive billions of shillings every single year. Billions. Okay? You tell me if each of these counties had taken 1 billion shillings each. One. Just 1 billion. And done what Nairobi City County did with hospital. Tell me, where would they be? Just one. Maybe not at once, but budget. In this 5 years, I'm going to take
$1 billion every year.
Yes.
Just a 1 billion.
One.
This time I do hospital, health facilities. Next
Done.
one, I'm going to do this and the other.
Done. Where would they be?
Yeah. Okay. On a light note, if the 23 health facilities costing under 1 billion had been done by Alfred Muthui, people would be laughing. It's our lies. True. Well, he did a road and he said this road has actually cost less. Way less than what people are saying. People laughed. The road is still there. It's 28 minutes to 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Let's take a break.
"24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. "24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Guys, dinner is ready.
Please buzz the chicken.
Wow, Mom, the chicken looks yummy. Get ready to dig in.
Without a doubt, Kenchik chicken is usually the star attraction on dinner tables across Kenya because we place the highest priority on the health of the chicken we farm and the goodness of the food we provide. This is strengthened by our absolute certainty of traceability from our farm to your family. Kenchik, we're cuckoo about tasty chicken.
It's the festive season, and as always, Naivas has the season all set for us. This year, Naivas Christmas Kiloko is here, and we have something special in store for everyone. This 8th to the 14th of December, choose from thousands of products and enjoy massive Jamhuri Week offers across all Naivas outlets to enjoy with Naivas Christmas Kiloko. This Jamhuri Week, you are sorted. Join me on the Spice FM drive from 3 p.m. to win yourself a Naivas shopping voucher worth 3,000 shillings. Naivas Christmas Kiroko. Shinda kokote, sherekea kikwetu. Naivas.
A bit of a drizzle
Saves
here and there.
you
Cloudy
money.
conditions in Nairobi at 18, highs of 25 and lows of 16. It's mostly sunny at 15 in Nakuru, highs of 25 and lows of 13, while 16 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 23 and lows of 15. Rain showers continue in Mombasa at 26, highs of 32 and lows of 24, while in Malindi it's 27, rain showers as well, highs of 31 and lows of 25. Not to forget Eldoret, where it's cloudy at 14, highs of 24 and lows of 13. Kisumu is sunny at 20, City, highs of 29. 30 will be the high in Kakamega, where it's partly sunny at 19. All right, in Kampala, light rain continues at 21, highs of 26 and lows of 19. Dar es Salaam is wet as well at 27, highs of 31 today. Mostly cloudy conditions at 14 in Johannesburg, highs of 23 and lows of 12. It continues with a haze over the city in Lagos at 25, highs of 34 and lows of 25. Kinshasa is raining at 25, highs of 32 and lows of 24.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
In the middle of the city is where we see the most traffic this morning, and the Thika Superhighway has continued. It's dipped just below Survey today, so it's not as heavy as it normally is. Crawling along into the city centre, we also have some traffic on Kiambu Road as well. The CBD is taking the hardest hit of traffic this morning. The Eastern Bypass also looking like it's taking some as well. Looking on Kangunda Road today, and that's pretty slow, as is on Jogo Road, moving very slowly. Langata Road is not too bad today. This is a good thing. Getting out towards the Timor roundabout. Langata Road traffic has been bad last couple of weeks, looking much, much better, especially at this time today. We're officially getting into traffic hour. Let's see what it looks like in a short while. SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Text 40127. Let's keep things moving this Monday morning.
So the free trial for Showmax still goes on. It's 14 days free trial, and you get that. You get to experience what Showmax is all about, and then you make a decision to choose whichever plan you want to go for, whether Showmax, Showmax Mobile, Showmax Pro, or Showmax Pro Mobile. Choose the one that basically fits your pocket. But you get access to all this programming. Shows, children programming. You can watch, you can download and then watch later offline. You get access to Showmax on 5 devices, and you can watch on two devices at the same time. This is absolutely brilliant.
Indeed.
And it's the one you do this over the festive season when you're traveling. It's the best one. Download, give the kids, tell them watch this, and maintain shut up until you arrive. Don't talk to me.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It's 22 minutes to 8. The conversation continue.
So?
Yes.
See, now I've lost the page.
Don't worry. It's exactly where you left it.
The page is still there.
It's just my finger.
You're the one who's lost.
There's as you're looking for this lost page, there is something that is on page 4 of the Standard. And it talks, the headline is Include Civil Society in Vaccines Plant Board. State is urged. Now, the new Kenya Biovax Institute board is trying to revamp this whole story of COVID vaccines. Now, this is a coalition for health research and development under the AMREF Health Africa. Said it's regrettable that the civil society and communities that have been left out of the constituted board. Now, again, if you think of this very, well, should we say, much talked about, much touted, and always quoted public participation necessity and need and must, you would assume that if you were setting up something of this nature, that it would be all-inclusive.
Yeah.
Because there are the experts, people who understand vaccines. There are those who understand health. But then there are those who are recipients, and there are those who represent the recipients, who are the general public. And then there are those who always stand in the gap and are always speaking for the general public, that's civil society. If you're talking about open accountability, you cannot have, well, you can try to, but it really doesn't make sense to have something that has such huge ramifications and implications for the lives of the citizens, and the entire body of the citizenry is not represented.
Sure.
No.
No.
The decision-making process, whether you like it or not, will somehow be skewed.
As it's for them, it must include them.
Yes.
Yes.
It has to.
It has to. All right. So 16 days of activism just concluded a couple of days ago. And we did see, even as late as Friday, that we had quite a number from different sectors, the judiciary, county government, having met in Makweni over the weekend to say, look, we are still trying to talk about bringing about the end to gender-based violence. We are not letting our guard down, because what has been the practice in the past is that we would have these days, we would celebrate these 16 days, we would celebrate the 1st of March, we would celebrate so many things and talk about bringing an end to this, but then that's it. In terms of follow-up, in terms of activities, we wouldn't do as much as we could. Lobby for the change in law, lobby for an amendment to the law, for lawbreakers and things like this. This is interesting now because county government has recruited over 1,000 anti-gender-based violence champions across all sub-counties in the fight against the vice. The team was unveiled at a summit Friday, which is what I'm talking about, that declared it's resolved to help in the fight. At the summit were members from the judiciary, civil society, county government, police officers, chiefs, clergy, survivors, and the anti-GBV champions to discuss a roadmap aimed at ending the scourge. Because remember now, what we're saying is, let's not talk about, before it was, all right, accepting that it is there, and then it was dealing with it, and then it was mitigating legally and judicially. Now it's saying, you know what, that's nice, but let's just end it, all right? High Court Judge Teresia Maveka, she spoke quite vividly on Friday as well, said proper mechanisms and practical solutions need to be put in place to end GBV. The judge, who is also a member of the National Council on the Administration of Justice, Special Task Force on Children Matters, noted with concern that many suspects go unpunished because victims can't express themselves in courts and relatives shy away from speaking out. She said, it is the role of these champions to go and speak to the people in the villages and be a voice for that voiceless person suffering in silence. When a person is abused, they are affected psychologically, physically, and economically, and they need support. She hailed the county for leading the way and building a shelter for victims of violence, because we know Makweni was the first county then to establish a shelter for victims of violence. Makweni Deputy Governor Adelina Mwao, who also was at the summit, stressed the importance of holding such a forum at a moment the country still faces hurdles in addressing the matter. We want to end injustice meted on children, women and men by 2025 and make Makweni a gender-based violence-free county. And so there's the hope that this will happen. I think the first time that we've seen these individuals being hired and being paid to get something done about this.
So what are their terms of reference? What are they supposed to do?
Okay, so now...
They're SGBV, anti-SGBV campaigners.
Yeah, champions, right? So it is their role to go and speak to the people in the villages, one, talking about the need to end it, but then also being a voice for those who cannot speak. And they're insisting on this because many of the victims, what have we heard, end up either being cajoled or persuaded by the perpetrators with some kind of economic trade-off for their family members, and that buys their silence. So she's saying these champions would be able to stand and say, you are afraid to speak, you want to trade off for money instead of maybe seeing that somebody can pay for what they've done, let me speak for you. So this is essentially what the champions are supposed to be doing. And it's the first time we've seen such. Again, the goal is to end it. The goal is to end it. So this is a good step.
Okay. Now there's a conversation that we've had even here. How do we approach this issue by bringing people on board? The question that we keep asking, City, what is it that makes it continue being prevalent? There are all those issues. There is the culture, the customs of the people. There is what people believe to be a normal way of doing things. There are those where it's violence, and then there are those where it's violence because this is how I know it's done.
They don't even think it's violence.
Yes, they don't think it's violence. How do we address that? Because there's a risk, and the reason I'm asking that is there's a risk here. It's a good thing that we have champions and campaigners being rolled out in the villages. It's like having the community health workers in the village, where you know that so and so, if there's an issue, if you've suffered violence, you go and meet with so and so and you can report to them. However, if the attitude is that they are coming in as community police, where you report and then they escalate and they follow through for justice, then we're still going to have an issue. We need to have a conversation that actually addresses and changes the behavior of people.
Eric, you've got in the heart of the matter. You know, those who drafted and presented us with our new constitution, they were some really gifted and inspired minds. When they talked about public participation, it's one of the best things that we actually have in our constitution, and I'm going to explain why. It is not easy to communicate a concept that, let's say, for instance, is purely scientific and ensure it is understood if you do not understand, first and foremost, what the people you are talking to know and understand about this subject. You have to start from what they know, and then you need to fit in this lofty concept that you have into what they understand and how they understand it. Case in point, the education of girls was an issue for a long time in African societies.
Yeah.
Major issue. So where was the turning point? Where was the turning point? The turning point was when it was realized that this insurance policy that you thought was embedded in the male child need not necessarily be embedded in the male child. It could be in your children. The education was supposed to have an attendant benefit attached to it at some point. And that is why the conversation always was, look at so and so son.
Indeed.
Okay?
It took some parents then insistent on sending their children to school.
Yes.
And that benefit was then seen, and then people said, hold on a minute. So and so sent their daughter to school, and
we saw precisely.
So from there,
yes,
it had a ripple effect.
It started with something small, as somebody going to work, and suddenly their parents have a house with corrugated iron sheets.
With running water inside.
Yes. Yeah. Now, this education is what made this possible. Next time that person drove in with a car. And a car was considered something that other people, especially the colonialists, had. Not the mwananchi mu Africa. Education had to be attached to something that they considered beneficial and desired. Now, all these changes that we talk about with reference to what you call behavior change intervention, if you can't figure out what these individuals, this group, this community consider important and what they value, you can't get them to change their mind.
No.
You have to understand their value system and then say, okay, now, this thing that we want, how do we explain or bring about the explanation of this thing that we want to fit in with their value system? When that happens, it becomes important. Remember how important university education was? It no longer is. It's a good thing. But people are wondering, you know why? We attached the end product, i.e. a job, to it for so long, we forgot that actually education is actually supposed to open your mind. It is not supposed to actually necessarily give you a job. The job can come in, but it's supposed to, that interaction with you and that knowledge is supposed to make you a different person. Now in this country, we are facing that reality and we are realizing the very thing that people are told upon graduation is now they're doing it. You've got the knowledge, think and find a way in which you can figure out what to do with this knowledge that you have.
And then thrive.
There's no ready-made job waiting for you.
So we are saying, because we're dealing with two people here now as it concerns GBV, you're dealing with the victim, the one who has obviously had some violence against them. And then you're dealing with the perpetrator. The person who makes the trade-off is clearly the one who is in the more desperate situation. This is the victim, and not just necessarily them, but their family members. That a mother, father then is willing to say, okay, you know what, we're ready to put this abuse aside, but then we're going to take something in terms of compensation because we need it more, right? So what I'm hearing you say, Eric, is that, so then what would this champion do? So perhaps we need to have championing in a different form, right? Because you will find that most people who accept this trade-off from the perpetrator, right, are in a poor situation.
Yes.
They need money.
They do.
Need a better livelihood.
They do.
So are we saying that if we would alleviate these situations in which they were in, that you would not then need to have a trade-off?
Nope. I'm actually not putting it that way. I am not 100% convinced that everybody who accepts this is trading off because of their financial or social situation.
They're trying to get rid of shame in the family, or what?
Not necessarily. There's a way in which, even traditionally, this was dealt with and justice was meted. Right?
And to the satisfaction of all parties.
To the satisfaction of all parties.
But
in very many cases, it still continues to happen. But because of this modernity that we look at things, we assume that, that hasn't happened. You see, in the eyes of that local community, there has been justice, there has been addressing of this matter. That's why it's always a thing of go talk to your folks, go talk to your uncle, report this to his parents, report this to her parents. And what do the parents do? They report it to the elders in the community. What do the elders in the community do? There are very many things that happen in that whole cycle, that whole chain. There is punishment for the perpetrator. There is a deterrence for repetition of this. All those things are put in place.
And they were understood.
And then there's, now when you now bring in that whole modernity and say, okay, so if you see that, they went and they talked to Duko Kichini and they buried it, it's because, it's patriarchy. I'm sitting back and I'm saying, absolutely not necessarily. And as long as we continue viewing it that way,
no, that is the dominant narrative.
We shall not address that issue.
It's a dominant narrative and it's not entirely true.
Yes.
There's something that isn't known by many people, but at the University of Nairobi, there was a time when people were incentivized to go to the university. The reason was because when you finish Form 2, you could get a job. Form 4, you could get a job.
Yeah.
Form 6, you could get a job. So the university was competing with this. So they offered laundry services. There was the boom. But significantly, they also had rules. The rules were, should you have a girlfriend and should she get pregnant, you will marry her. You will marry her. Okay? A story is told of such an incident.
Mm-hmm.
The young man president said, actually, this girl has been my girlfriend, but I've never actually slept with her. Said, go away. You're always in her room, blah, blah. He said, honestly, I haven't.
Yeah.
You are going to marry her. Okay. Because if you don't marry her, you're kicked out of university. It's not complicated. Married her. See, girl gives birth. Somehow this child is of mixed race. This guy wasn't of mixed race, neither was the girl. That rule went out of the window.
That was the end of it.
That rule went out of the window. Because we didn't have DNA, so you could do paternity tests. Why am I giving this example? There can be a dominant narrative which works, but you must consider the eventuality of something untoward also happening, which you hadn't considered. Societal norms, people may think, were generally favored men. Not, Eric, you're right. That is not a true narrative. No. African women participated in these norms. The only thing they didn't do, they were not forward about it. They were not at the forefront. But their input was always considered and it was always in play. You may not think so, but they were.
Yep.
You only needed to look at the role they played when people are thinking of getting married. That would tell you just how powerful their roles were. Because men at some point were relegated aside.
Yes.
Completely aside.
It became the women issue.
Yes, exactly. So how does it become a women issue if women don't have power in that community or that society? Certain Western narratives take root and they aren't examined closely enough to actually determine, are they entirely true? But also, in the places where they have been applied wholesalely, what have been the ramifications? Just societal upheavals. Because it isn't as though those norms cannot work. They're just not thought through carefully as to, yes, this is what you're seeing, but what else is actually happening?
What else? Or how else can this be resolved in a way that actually takes and understands the nuances in a community?
Yes.
Remember when you had a conversation here with Justice Professor Joel Ngoge, who was chairing the court's called? The Small Claims Court.
Yes.
Not the Small Claims Court.
The alternative
justice resolution.
Yes.
Conflict resolution mechanism.
Yes. Where you're going to a community and each of them is different.
Completely.
Each alternative court is going to be different because it has to factor in the people there, what their issues are, and how they handle the issues.
Yes.
The same thing when we're talking with the Chief Magistrate here, Lorot.
Yes.
I'm talking about the court users. Each court user has got to have different people present because of the different needs.
Yes.
Same thing I'm saying that needs to happen when you talk about GBV. especially GBV.
Because it's much spoken of, and
And
it's assumed
FGM as well.
And it's assumed it is one uniform issue. It isn't.
It isn't.
It isn't.
And there can be other ways in which you can actually involve and bring in those traditional norms and cultures and be able to
and values.
GBV.
You can actually put a halt to it. If you don't include these players into it, you will never end it. You simply won't end it. Do you know the reason why it is? You'll find many communities, if you sit back and understand, you stop judging them from the yardstick of the community you come from, the norms, and sit back and just put a pause to what you understand and say, why don't I try and understand what these people are actually doing here? You'll be amazed at what you see, and you'll be amazed at what you understand. You'll find that the principles that they apply may be very similar to yours. It's just that the way they go about applying it is different from you.
Yeah.
But the principles are exactly the same. How do you think it is, for instance, that there are communities where there was a just recompense and punishment for everything that you did? They had it. You do this, this happens. You do this, and they understood. And
because there was the understanding that, that folks were going to go rogue.
And the community was involved. It wasn't in a corner somewhere. It was in the open, and people saw and understood. Traditionally, that oral aspect of it is how that tradition was passed on. You saw it. You witnessed it. So you knew.
There was banishment. People were banished from communities, from villages. Live here.
Go away.
Go away. We're just not putting you in a jail, but we have actually
the same
punished you.
When you've been ostracized.
Or you have been told that you're going to pay hefty fines, X number of cattle. You'll work the rest of your life paying this particular family.
Yeah. So then maybe
you
it's time,
and your descendants.
So then maybe it's time to combine some of these things, because in the same societies, in the same communities where we saw those things happening previously, are where we still have the proliferation of some of these things, where we still have young boys and girls being violated in the same communities. So we're talking about, alternative justice resolution.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're also talking about, community champions. So probably it is time to say, okay, what do these people have? What do communities have that have dealt with these issues in the past? Can we combine with the two to try and end these things? Because it is within these same communities that these violations are taking place.
You see, the safeguard of community norms were not the police force. It was the community.
It was the community itself.
Indeed.
And the community know themselves and they know each other.
Yeah.
You bring in the police force, who do they know? What do they know?
So we started by breaking up what was happening, what would have been the deterrence for the perpetrators, okay? And now we've introduced a new system to deal with the perpetrators in the same society. Now you have issues, because whereas previously there'd have been people and systems that would have dealt with this perpetrator, now there's no system that would deal with the perpetrator. And when you look at it, we are still saying it's the culture that is perpetrating. No. The culture had a policing system. We threw away that culture. We did not deal with the rogue elements.
That this so-called modern way of justice cannot fail. For the simple reason that just the knowledge that the community, the people who know you, while you're policing you, that was enough of a deterrent. But the moment you bring in an external force called the police, they need to be there physically.
Yeah.
And they're never there physically.
No.
So it's like you opened a door without realizing it, and then came this flood of all these iniquities that we now see. Public participation is far more important than people realize it.
So people are still living in that cultural bubble, but without the policing system.
Yes.
So those rogue elements are living in that.
They're flourishing.
And there is nothing to check them. And if you look at it, it is not the overwhelming majority of members of our community that have these tendencies.
No, it's not.
It's a minority.
I mean, it's very
that
few.
That minority is what could have been dealt with if we actually had those systems still in place.
They would have been checked.
We've got to bring them back. Let's go to the news first and hear what's the latest coming from around the world. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. We are glad that you're tuned in. Yegon is back, and he says he's in Nandi. He says he's listening to us as he does his morning chores. What's that he's doing?
She's in the morning chores.
Expand that photo.
He's feeding his animals. That is Napier grass. Anakatakatia ng'ombe majani. Good morning, Yegon. Good to have you back on the show. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Yegon is streaming the show on SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. He'll tell us. But you can also catch the show on the same, in addition to being on SpiceFM. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newsline. Dennis Aseto. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muthui says that he has undergone surgery after an accident at the office which led to a fracture in his right shoulder. Muthui on his Twitter handle said that he hurt his shoulder after his chest slid while opening a drawer. The speaker added that he was treated after the accident and released to recuperate at home, but the pain persisted. His announcement comes just 3 days after he recalled members of parliament from recess for special house sittings this week. Ministry of Transport Chief Administrative Secretary Wavinya Ndeti maintains that the political relationship between Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and President Uhuru Kenyatta is still strong and will not be compromised by the new political structures that are being formed by the country's political elite. Speaking in Machakos County, Wavinya called on Kenyans to pray for the country to have better leadership after next year's general elections. Meanwhile, Wavinya has vowed to ensure that public health care services are properly provided if elected Machakos governor. She further called on senior officials in the Machakos County government to take responsibility for their work. Now, detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations are looking for 2 thugs who were captured on CCTV vandalizing standard gauge railway transformers. Police say the 2 armed with spanners were vandalizing a key power supply unit in Makindu when a signal was received by detectives manning the SGR system remotely. DCI said a contingent of officers based at Makindu and Emali police stations was dispatched to arrest the thugs, who immediately dashed to nearby thickets on noticing the beaming lights of a fast approaching police car. Vandalizing or tampering railway property attracts charges related to economic sabotage and terrorism. The Kenya Coast Guard has destroyed 83 pieces of illegal fishing nets worth 4.8 million shillings in Lake Victoria. Speaking during the destruction exercise in Bunyala Sub-County Fisheries Officers, the Coast Guard team leader, retired General George Shiundu, expressed concern about the great losses being incurred by the fishermen due to the use of illegal fishing gadgets. Shiundu urged the beach management units to unite and purchase the recommended fishing nets for the fishermen to avoid such losses. He urged the area chief to advise the fishermen and their leadership to be law-abiding in order to avoid such losses. Now, police in Kisii have launched investigations after a middle-aged man hacked his wife and 2 children in Gesoni village, Mosocho in Kisii, in a suspected domestic feud before surrendering to the police in Nyatieko police station within Kisii Township. Kisii County Police Commander Francis Coley said that Daniel Asiago committed the heinous act, after which villagers reacted by torching his 3-bedroom semi-permanent house. The 3 family members were later rushed to Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital in critical condition for emergency medical care. The suspect continues to be interrogated at Nyatieko police station. Hundreds of thousands of people marched to the presidential palace in Sudan's capital Khartoum in protest at the October 25th military coup, drawing volleys of tear gas and stun grenades from security forces. The outpouring of protest marked the 3rd anniversary of demonstrations that touched off a popular uprising which led to the overthrow of long-ruling Islamist autocrat Omar al-Bashir. Protests against the coup have continued even after the reinstatement of the Prime Minister last month, with demonstrators demanding no more military involvement at all in government in a transition towards free elections. To sports, and Tusker FC claimed only their 2nd FKF Premier League win of the season as they edged Nzoia Sugar FC 1-0 at the Sudi Stadium in Bungoma. Ojok's 13th minute strike proved the winner as the champions climbed out of the relegation zone for the first time this season. Defeat will pile pressure on the Nzoia head coach Ibrahim Shekanda, whose side dropped down to 2nd last on the standings, with only the Vihiga Bullets having made a worse start to the campaign. Kenya Police defeated Bidgo United 3-0 at the Kasarani Annex thanks to strikes from Clifford Miheso, Charles Ouma and Clinton Kenanga. And Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp said players not vaccinated against COVID-19 pose a health risk, and it was unlikely the Merseyside club could sign players who refused the vaccine. Aston Villa boss Steven Gerrard and his Crystal Palace counterpart Patrick Vieira both said that vaccine status might be a consideration when signing new players as cases continue to rise in the Premier League. The league said in October that 68% of its players were double jabbed, but on Monday announced a record 42 cases in a week. COVID-19 outbreaks at various clubs have forced the postponement of 10 games so far, including 6 from this weekend's round of fixtures. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Traffic is there, but really not there. Just a little bit of it on Langata Road today. Looking pretty good. Coming off Jogo Road, also getting into the cities where you find the most of it. Going then towards Landis and Kamkunji, then towards the city. Uhuru Highway is just piling up now. The Thika Superhighway, some traffic just after survey through to the Pangani Underpass. And then it'll take you out towards the city centre. Apart from that, it doesn't look too bad, guys. We're getting into that week where traffic gets really, really low, and we shouldn't have too much of a headache with it. However, we'll keep an eye on things for you. On Mombasa Road today, we're seeing a little bit of it, then getting towards the SGR, but it's not too crazy, actually. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, talk to us there, text on 40127. Things like are moving. Let's keep it that way this Monday.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 8. Very good morning to you wherever you're locked in. Happy holidays. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the third hour of our show, and CT Muga has the day's proverb.
Avumae baharini. Si anavumae baharini. Papa, kumbe ni wengi.
Avumae baharini papa, kumbe ni wengi.
Yes, exactly. See, you vumaing in the bahari. Shark, haya.
Kumbe.
There are many.
Soaring past. Driving past.
Yes.
Warm. What do people do with water?
You swim. Or shower.
Walk into it.
Kuvuma. You see now, for example, let me give you another example of use of the word kuvuma. Yes?
Want to expand your lexicon.
Ndu amevuma sana katika SpiceFM. Huyu mwimbaji amevuma sana, sifa zake zimeenea.
Sifa zake zimetia fora. Zimetia nanga. In that case, you're famous, well-known.
Yes.
If sifa zimevuma, it means you're well-known. They're entrenched. People have good.
People talk about you a lot.
Far into the sea.
People talk about you a lot. So avumae baharini is basically when people think about the ocean.
Yes.
And the one that is now it carries the day and carries the many stories is the shark.
Yes. And there are many.
But it's not alone. There are many.
Shark Papa is not alone.
Iko mingi.
Iko mingi, Shaka Papa.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Shaki.
So the one that you hear of often,
okay,
the
that
one that
took
you
a
hear
while
of
for
a
here,
lot
yeah.
is the shark.
Yes.
But it's not the only creature in the ocean.
Now I get it.
See?
I get it now.
Just because you hear of the shark.
Hapana, si peke yake bwana. Ni wengi.
Hey, that took a minute.
It's this time
But
of the
I
year.
get it.
Time of the year.
That's the time of the year. I get it.
Cock doing movements, slowly.
Avumai. Oh,
Avumai baharini papa. Kumbe ni wengi.
It's also the syntax. Avumai baharini papa, comma.
Yes. Kumbe ni wengi.
Okay, sawa basi.
And Jesus said, comma, today you will be with me in paradise. Okay, change it. And Jesus said today, comma,
you will be with me in paradise.
Two different meanings.
Indeed. Sawa sawa.
Okay.
Kuisapata.
Kuishapata mimi papa Shaki.
Pata shaki kule.
Ampata shaki.
Kumbe ni wengi. Kuna papa na nyangumi. There's actually a song.
There is.
I told you there's a song for everything.
Kuna papa na nyangumi.
Every situation
tena
has
wale
a
wa
song.
bahari. Hawapendi kuiona meli yetu baharini.
It's a beautiful song.
Watafanya kila njia. Waikutie safari Saudai. Okay.
It's a beautiful song, by the way.
Was it?
It evokes.
Was it DDC Milimani Park? Or
Yes,
was it?
and yes, lovely. Lovely jingles.
Now, there's a story that you had highlighted earlier, CT.
I did.
And this is about what happened in Marsabit over the weekend.
Yes.
And it has been going on for months now.
Yes.
And it's a cycle that repeats itself every so often.
It does.
So that is the story of the killings in Marsabit.
Yes.
There's also a story of the killings in the Kerio Valley.
Yes.
And this is all the Kerio Valley banditry. Marsabit is just everything. It's just inter-community clashes. The Gabra, the Burji, the Rendile, the Borana, in Marsabit.
And they
then
keep
it's
saying it.
just having issues left, right, and center, flare-ups left, right, and center. And it's all brought down into, the community is this is a clash between the Burji and the...
No.
What exactly happens there? Okay, let me read this one of Kerio Valley.
Please do.
Kerio Valley residents have asked the United Nations to push for their compensation and an end to conflict in the region that has claimed 44 people over the last 4 months. In a letter addressed to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, residents accuse the Kenyan government of failing to protect its citizens and their property. There is blatant violation of the right of life and ownership of property in Kerio Valley, and in the recent past there has been increasing cases of people being killed and their property stolen through unchecked cattle rustling, reads the letter written by Benson Cheserek, who is a local of Kerio Valley. Over the past 3 decades, the Kenyan government has terribly abdicated its responsibility to protect the people of Kerio Valley. The UN Human Rights Division needs to investigate the unending cattle rustling and killings. That's what the locals are saying, and they want the UN to pressure the Kenyan government to ensure victims of insecurity are compensated. Because they're saying it happens constantly, allowing Tieti constituency to be flooded with guns since 1976 is a serious misstep by the government, and if no serious effort is made to reverse this, we are courting a disaster that will pose a threat to national security, similar to the ongoing Oromo rebellion in Ethiopia. This is the Deputy Governor of Elgeyo Marakwet, Wesley Rotich, who said, because of what we see happening in Tieti constituency, which is in Baringo, and now we see the skirmishes that cross over into Elgeyo Marakwet, that also cross over into other parts. That whole Kerio Valley, it's affecting people and livelihoods.
Think of the expanse. Think of the discussions that began in Laikipia.
Yeah.
Think of the issues that started in Isiolo. And look at just how it's been escalating ever so surely and ever so definitively.
Yeah.
Now, we had the MP here for Laikipia North, and she explained in many ways how these things happen. And she talked about the youth. She talked about the low levels of literacy and education among young people. And she talked about the entrenchment of this situation by leaders who ought to be ensuring that young people have an alternate way of life, but guaranteeing that these traditional ways are still maintained without the requisite benefit of having a formal education also.
Yep.
Now, when you have a situation that seems to just keep getting worse and worse, and in this discussion, you also hear the government has sent GSU, the government has sent security personnel, the government has done this and the other, and yet you do not see any market change. I'm afraid many questions are brought to bear.
Yeah, it would appear as though it's just a look. Excuse me. It would appear as it's just a PR exercise to let you know that okay, people have been sent, something is being done, but then the underbelly of the issue would be, as clear as day for me, that it is being that there are forces that want this conflict to continue because there are benefactors, there are beneficiaries, there is money being made here. Because how do you explain in an area where the same things that City has explained, like Laikipia North, where there is no tarmac road, there are no ECD classrooms, in an area like that, where obviously the economic profile is low, you can have something as expensive as a conflict going on for so many years. Because let's be honest, conflict is not cheap. There's ammunition, there's keeping these people who are fighting alive. That means they have to eat and drink on a daily basis, and they have to live somewhere, right? The perpetrators of conflict are deep-pocketed folks. In an area whereby there is lack of food, there is lack of infrastructure, there is lack of educational facilities, 1, 2, 3, but you're able to maintain a conflict for the longest period. That means somebody is fueling it. That means somebody is selling arms. That means somebody is buying. That means there is money. These things that you're being told about forces having been sent in to take care of it is window dressing of a situation whereby the perpetuation of conflict and war is one of the oldest revenue streams in the world. In the world, it has been used to make money for centuries. It continues here. So when somebody tells you, oh, we've sent in troops, we've sent in people to do something about it, that's nice. On the face of it, you see like something is being done. But there are people for whom this income has been very lucrative over the years, and they're not about to let it go.
They will not.
They're not going to let it go.
One thing that you have to notice about this whole area, it's a semi-arid, arid and semi-arid part of the country. And this is where livestock rearing takes place. Now, what else happens here? Whenever we have issues of drought and shortage, these are the areas that are always on the list. Areas that are always on the list of receiving food aid. Areas that are always on the list of, that whole issue of livestock offtake, blah, 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 blah. If you also dig deeper into this, and we talk about statistics and government statistics in this country, we know very well how much tea is produced in Kenya, how much tea is sold at the tea auction. We know very well how much coffee is produced in Kenya, how much coffee is sold at the tea auction, and how much it brings into the country. Horticulture, same. Floriculture, same. We actually do not have solid statistics on how much our livestock brings to the country. We cannot speak of how much livestock is sold within the country and exported. Go look for data. You'll find data that is not supported by anything. So we talk about our livestock sector. It's about 100 billion.
Give or take.
Yeah. But yet we know for sure that Kenyans consume meat. Okay? Per capita consumption of meat in Kenya is among the highest in the world. We know for sure. We know we produce our meat here in these areas that we're talking about. Who is benefiting from that lack of proper knowledge of what's happening in this lucrative sector?
Structure.
There's no structure on our livestock sector. There's no structure on how much beef and mutton and all we're producing in the country, how much we're exporting, what our potential for exporting is. And all it's because, there's no cattle rustling, this area is insecure, people are moving, they're pastoralist communities, so you never really can tell where they are. What said you can't tell where people are in this country? And then there's all this violence, left, right, and center. People have been killed, because of violence and all, and elections. And a government has been in place since 1963.
No. It sounds like a very simplistic way of dealing with this. But look, if there was a genuine desire to put a plug in these conflicts and say, just look, it's the same principle that you can apply to what we talked about earlier when you want to say, can we build 20 hospitals in every county under $1 billion in the next 5 years? Can you do it? Yes, you can. But what must it be fueled by? It must be fueled by desire, right? We actually have the will to do this, we're going to do it. Same principle can be applied to these conflicts here. That if you really want to put a plug in it, you want to stop these things from happening and start to develop these areas in the country and say, okay, let's put these things to bed. We know that certain areas are for cattle rearing in Kenya. Yeah. Let them thrive. Let the peoples of this area survive. You can. But like I'm telling you, they're beneficiaries, they're benefactors of war. Look at all the major wars that were fought around the world. There are multi-billionaires that are surviving on this planet today because of the proceeds of war and conflict.
Yep.
As far back as World War I, we have people who are living in the generations today whose families benefited because of selling arms. Simple. The truth of the matter is that there are some people for whom these conflicts are their lifeline. And if the conflicts are not alive and well, their lifeline is also not alive and well, it is dead.
Yeah.
So the individual aspiration or individual selfishness for me here is what is allowing these things to continue to run. Marsabit, Laikipia, Isiolo. For how many years have you been hearing about these things?
Elgeyo Marakwet.
Year on year, you hear the same thing. There's a flare-up every now and then. There's armed bandits back and forth. Who's fueling them? In the same area whereby you can't build something as basic as a classroom. A tarmac road doesn't even exist in the centimeters, talk less of the kilometers. Same place. And then you have one of the most expensive economic activities as war and conflict going on in the same area. Come on, folks. Do the math. Do the math.
We've had a conversation with the Regional Commissioner for Rift Valley, right? George Natembea. And he said, people talk about this one is, cattle rustling, the traditional. This is not the traditional cattle rustling. This is business. We had a conversation with the MP for Tiati, and he told us the same thing. It's business. We have spoken to MP for Laikipia North. This is business. We have spoken to Governor of Laikipia, business. We are now reading what the Deputy Governor of Elgeyo Marakwet is saying. It's business. It's clear it's business. And the people who benefit from it are not the local community.
No.
This is not the only arid part of the world. Other countries have drier conditions than we have in this country, and they produce and export their beef.
And they export horticultural products, and they export fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
Yes.
And our people here are the ones that kill each other, as we are told, and then they go hungry, as we are told.
Because they're living in an arid land.
Yeah.
And there's very little in terms of natural
and it's
resource
now
to go around.
Inter-community conflict because of the scarce resource called water and grazing pastures. So they have to keep fighting left, right, and center as they're moving their cattle from point A to point B. This is all stories.
It's hogwash. You know what? And the people, let me tell you, the thousands of people, what did you say? 200 people dead in a day?
Yep.
Right?
On Saturday.
The puppet master.
12 people died on Saturday.
200 people dead in over a period, right?
Yep.
The puppet master who is pulling these strings is nowhere near that area. The people who are controlling this narrative are very far from this area, number one. Number two, there are very few of them. Very few of them who couldn't give a toss about whether 200 people died or 12 people died or 1,000 people died. So long as there's money coming into the pocket, that's what's important here. Because, look, every time you're told the same thing, we will send in, who are they now? GSU, Kohune, police tomorrow, this person tomorrow. We'll go and we'll have conversations with the people and get them to realize that these resources can be shared. They would have you think that people are going into the plains or the farmlands to feed their cattle, and they're encroaching on land of others. So that's why we are fighting one against the other.
Yeah.
No.
But consider,
No.
you know, there's something which is at stake now, which is infinitely more than we've had in the past. It's the seat of the governor. Because the seat of the governor comes with resources that individuals, as well as counties, as well as people who live with them, have actually never seen. The my people, the my person concept has been revamped and enhanced. So the call to war, the battle cry, is a lot easier when one seems to have this narrative of I am defending what is ours. When it is within communities where the language is the same and there's homogeneity, it becomes a clan issue. And tied on to this, especially if you talk about governors who are two-term governors and those who are maybe one-term governors, but whose rule has been marked with dismal performance, they know the time of reckoning is coming. A simple question to those of us who are listening. Do the maths. What each county in this country receives is known. Do the maths and multiply it with the years that your county has been receiving the money. And just ask those who come from an area different from yours if there's evidence of things that were promised. Because when it comes to development, it's in the public domain again. Counties have budgets. It's talked about, they present it, you're told, we are going to build class, we're going to build ECD, we are going to bring water, we are going to put up a new classroom, we're going to put up, all these things are written down. Just start with the things they said they're going to do. Do they exist?
Do they exist?
If they exist, there was a cost attached to it. Ask yourself, this thing that you see on this planet Earth and in this country, Kenya, Africa, does that thing actually cost what it is that you're being told it costs? But there is a more ominous discussion that comes into play here. And this is a security issue, a sensitive one, but must be said. In January this year, there is a newspaper called the Defense News. It is produced in Turkey. There's an article by the name of a gentleman by the name of Barak Ege Beko. I'm pronouncing it the way an African would pronounce it. I'm sure it's pronounced differently. Okay? He wrote an article and he said that Kenya had ordered 118 mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles called the Hizir, tested in Syria, meaning anti-tank. It's an armored vehicle. If you look at it, you realize four-wheel drive. It's a very serious. We ordered 118. If you have these vehicles, these areas where these guys are shooting at you, they might as well be shooting into the sky. Those vehicles protect you. Have you noted the number of KDF officials who are getting killed in these conflicts? Did these vehicles eventually come to Kenya? Do we have them, or are they still being ordered? And because of the border that we share with Ethiopia and Somalia, surely for purpose of protection, the issue we've had with Al-Shabaab, and we know how often they put mines on roads, should these vehicles not have been there? And then when you talk about personnel being taken to these places, I have to ask the question, are we being told that these bandits can overwhelm our security forces? How? If they are we then suggesting these people are better armed than our security forces? So it comes down to the question, all this money that is allocated to the ministry and for which they are supposed to buy these things, do we have these things that we keep being told are being bought?
And are these things being made public so that you can have an understanding of what they're actually being used for? And I think we need to get to the point whereby this transparency comes out very clearly that, okay, folks, let's just go with that narrative that you keep peddling to people, that there is actually conflict going on and it's being perpetrated by two warring sides. All right. With what you've been provided for as a government, Ministry of Defense, for example, to be able to mitigate against such things, what then have you done? With the funds that have been made available, what have you done? With the personnel that has been made and the resource in terms of human beings that has been made available to you to be able to mitigate against such, what exactly have you done? I think we entered into a culture of secrecy, so much so that you know that it is so deeply entrenched that even questions no longer are asked. Okay, guys, seriously, if we're going to get to the heart of the matter, these warring factions that have been going on for the last 2 decades mean to tell me that with this whole arsenal of provision that has been given to you, you've not been able to do something about it, then I think we're in even a bigger problem than we even think.
Look.
If that is the case, that you're not able to deal with the conflict in certain parts of this country, then we're even in a worse place.
We have seen situations similar to this one, if not worse, where security personnel were taken to Nyeri and that problem ceased.
That's my point exactly.
Completely
because
ceased.
Yes. So now, if you're trying to say that has happened in other parts of the same country, not a different one, and here you have this thing that keeps spiraling up, down like a geyser, up, down, and you're saying you can't take care of it. Who's fooling who? Who is fooling who?
Who's benefiting from this war?
Exactly.
And how high up in government are they?
Until the point that you are even afraid to start to ask questions because you don't know then who will come for you tomorrow. Because that's it here. You're not going to poke. You're not going to ask because you know, here, my pay grade times 1,000,000 is this one that I cannot even touch.
Yep.
Right? That's the problem. You know there's somebody who's benefiting. You know that this thing has been made a commercial enterprise, but you can't ask questions because you either fear for your job or your life. But this is what we're dealing with right here. And it's under the guise of warring factions over natural resources.
It's not about the natural resources. And even if it was about natural resources, then how many years? 58 years.
Down the line, the same issue.
58 years of independence in the country. Surely we'd have addressed it by now. We would have addressed it. We would have sunk boreholes, we'd be having more water resources, we'd be having more infrastructure, open up the areas, make sure there are more schools, more hospitals. We talk to the leadership from this part, and not just the leaders, but even the residents, people who come from these areas. And they tell us the same thing. It's about not being in Kenya. Who is keeping these regions out of Kenya? And what are they getting out of it? This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The situation room is 8:30. We are talking about these banditry attacks and ending war in Marsabit. Locals in Kerio Valley petitioning the government because of what is called banditry. Constant cycle of banditry. People grow up knowing how to use an AK-47 from the age of 3, 4, 5 years old. What nonsense is this in Kenya? And we're saying we are celebrating our independence. This is not acceptable.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life 24/7 around the world non-stop. This is SpiceFM. "24/7 around the world non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
Bro, na si watu wamejenga manyumba area. Kwanza angalia ile. Are you seeing that roof? That color? Sio ni nyumba mpya?
That's not a new house, bro. That's a Covermax roof.
Covermax?
Covermax. It's more than just a roof. It's color that lasts. Ukiweka, umeweka.
So whose new house is that anyway? Really nice.
Ni yangu.
How's that possible?
Good choice from me. Covermax didn't let me down. It's good to have a long-lasting roof when you have a family, you know? Covermax roofing sheets with advanced color coating technology. A quality product from Mabati Rolling Mills.
24/7 around the world non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial *550*2# to read the Nairobian e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line and stay up to date, the hottest talk of town with no additional charges.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person. Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
The group of leaders we are having now, Kenyans, listen, the chemical composition is the same. You will mold them to ODM, then NASA, you mold them to Kanu, mold them to Jubilee, mold them to any other different color sometimes, but the chemical composition is the same.
It's not about me as Nurdin Haji, but it's about the constitution that I swore to protect. So when individuals attempt to hoard those powers and they want to be investigators and also prosecutors, then of course I have to defend that position because that position is in the constitution and that's what Kenyans wanted.
I'll tell you what happens is that when you ignore court orders, you're creating and quoting anarchy. Then you create a very dangerous precedent.
A story is told of the first president of the country who also went to visit Madare, presidential tour. Yeah? And of course, he went to this place and he introduced himself.
The weather with
20 degrees and mostly cloudy in Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 16. It's mostly sunny at 17. In Nakuru, highs of 25 and lows of 13. 15 will be the low in Nyeri, where it's mostly sunny at 18, highs of 23. In Eldoret, it's mostly cloudy at 16, highs of 24 and lows of 14. We're looking at mostly sunny conditions in Mombasa, 28, highs of 32 and lows of 24. While in Malindi, it's raining at 28 with highs of 31. We'll see lows of 25. Sunny conditions at 22 now in Kisumu, highs of 29 and lows of 19. While it's sunny in Kakamega at 23, we'll see highs of 30 and lows of 16. Kampala is sunny at 23 now, highs of 26 and lows of 19, while Dar es Salaam is raining still at 28 with highs of 31. Mostly cloudy conditions at 14 in Johannesburg, highs of 23, and in Lagos, still a hazy, cloudy morning at 26, highs of 34 and lows of 23. Continues to rain in Kinshasa at 25, highs of 32 and lows of 24.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, still not so much of a crazy traffic situation this morning. Some traffic on Raila Odinga Way as you come off of Langata Road, but nothing too terrible. We're looking at Uhuru Highway then between the Bonyala Road roundabout and the Haile Selassie roundabout. There's some traffic inbound there. Kamkunji now going out from Landis Road, some traffic in the CBD. That's where you find most of the traffic this morning. Thika Super Highway has behaved very well this morning, and we're seeing some traffic at the Pangani Underpass. Coming out of Westlands, it's a dot of traffic towards Waiaki Way. But then today, for the first time in a long time, can actually say you don't actually need to use the Red Hill Link Road unless you want to enjoy the ride and what nature offers. Let's talk in a bit. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
So as I keep talking about Showmax, www.showmax.com, there are several things that you can also know. That you can keep your data in check by choosing from 3 different streaming qualities to control how much data you are consuming. So there's video quality. Maximum video quality, you go into unlimited data. It's basically just set so that you can play with maximum quality. Medium video quality, up to 700 MB per hour data usage. And then minimum video quality, you get up to 100 MB per hour data usage. All it just is, it's reducing the amount of the kind of quality that you're getting. Still good quality, but it also just checks how much data you're consuming. You see, people will always think, all right, so I'm on the road, I'm using this, or I'm outside the house, I'm using this, I'm not in a Wi-Fi zone. How much data am I going to use? Select your quality and control the data usage. www.showmax.com. Go there and get a lot more information, and you can subscribe to 14 days free trial.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings.
It is 22 minutes to 9. The biggest conversation. Let's include in the conversation 0719012600. Who is benefiting from these cases of, what do you want to call it, banditry, tribal conflict in the north and northeastern parts of this country? The Standard has an editorial this morning, and I'm just going to read this editorial. Tackle banditry menace with more seriousness. Inter-community clashes in Marsabit County are taking their toll on human lives. Bandits attacked Saku village on Saturday. They drove away 1,000 head of cattle, 300 sheep and goats. The second attack was on Kubi Oalo village, where 800 head of cattle and 1,500 goats and sheep were stolen. In the first attack, 8 people were killed. 4 died in the second attack. According to police spokesman Bruno Shioso, a swift action from police led to the recovery of the stolen animals. No arrests were made, but now there was no recovery of human beings. The quest by the Borana, the Gabra, the Rendile communities to occupy Arebo Saku is said to be among reasons for the constant clashes. Hear that? There's been similar banditry attacks in Baringo, Turkana, Laikipia, where cattle rustling incidences abound. Every time such incidents occur, the government and local communities attribute them to the culture of cattle rustling. Surprisingly, security patrols and threats from the government have little or no effect on the bandits. The scourge of insecurity in these areas does not only affect civilians. Tens of police officers have lost their lives in shootouts with the bandits. Last month, 2 KDF soldiers and 2 GSU officers were killed by bandits in Laikipia. There have been claims that some local leaders are behind the insecurity within their jurisdictions. Arrests have been made following such claims. No permanent solution has ever been found. Indeed, some elders and leaders in affected areas stand accused through commission or omission. It's their duty as leaders to come together and resolve any arising disputes among the communities for harmonious existence. When they fail to do so, they become part of the problem. On its part, the government should go beyond putting leaders and bandits on notice and act decisively. The government has the machinery and the wherewithal to get to the bottom of this problem and end it. That's the editorial in the Standard today. It's the government, basically. Don't talk about local leaders. Yeah, they have a responsibility. But the government, the national government in this particular case, has the responsibility, ultimate responsibility to protect people's lives. We can't just say, a village was attacked, 8 people were killed. What do you mean a village was attacked and 8 people were killed? Oh, then there was a second attack and 4 people were killed.
Oh, school.
And it just happens, yeah. It's like, they just came in and they killed a few flies and they left. Who are these? Oh, there's some KDF officers who were shot there. Some GSU guys who died. In Baringo, we have seen more than 100 police officers have died in Baringo in just a span of 10 years. Police officers, and we're talking about, policing ratio, the number of police officers. Those who are young officers, those people, those cops who've died in Baringo alone would not have retired today.
No,
they'll still be in service.
They have a long way to go before they actually even contemplate.
We lost them to what we are calling bandits. What do you mean bandits? No. Who in government is running a criminal enterprise in this country? I think that's the bottom line of this question. Because if the government is unable to deal with it, then the government ought to tell us who in government is running a criminal enterprise in Kenya.
And that they've put their hands up and they're not able to manage.
No.
And they're benefiting from it.
Or they've allowed it and they're benefiting from it.
Yes.
Because what other conclusion can you come to? It is not possible that the government cannot put an end to it. It can.
No.
Government? Oh, yes, it can. The government has intelligence apparatus. They know. My friend, if there's something that they know, and in great detail, who is hampering our security forces from doing what they're supposed to do?
Yep.
Who puts a stop when they know this is what we ought to do? Who is it that hinders them from taking the necessary steps?
Think of whichever minister has been in charge of internal security and a cabinet secretary now in charge of security. Whenever they talk tough, you know what they're basically doing? They're saying we are going to send a few more young men and women to die.
Yes.
In the name of deploying police. Look back from Matiang'i, go all the way to Saitoti, to all of them. Whenever they say this, police officers die.
One of the things
it's basically saying that a minister in charge of security is saying, I'm going to send a few cops there to die. The situation will normalize and then we'll have a lull for a while.
There'll be no questions and then things will go quiet until it sorts.
With the advent of independence, there was a particular unit that was set up to deal with cattle rustling, Goroko. What they did was they made sure that the individuals who were part of this unit were locals. People who knew the terrain, they knew the players, but they were trained. And believe me, they were very well trained. They knew what to do. You take GSU and take them to those places, they will likely not know what to do.
Because they don't know the lay of the land.
They don't.
The way of the terrain.
They don't. It doesn't matter who you take there. You're talking about people who were born there, grown up there. They can tell you the difference between that bush and the other. For you, it's the same. They can tell you the difference. You look at the terrain and everything looks the same. They can tell you the difference. If you ever traveled in some of the semi-arid areas, the thing that puzzles you is you wonder, when somebody says they want to be dropped off here, and you look and you can't see anything.
Yep.
How did they know this is where they need to drop off?
Right.
Because
just drop me here.
Yeah, because to you everything is the same.
Yeah.
But they do, and the person, and if you stand or you halt for a while, you see them just walking. Meaning they seem to know where they're going.
Yep.
Now you bring someone who comes from an area where there are trees, there are bushes. What is this person going to do in such a terrain? With all the best intentions in the world, even if they have a guide. There are many questions that one asks. It was understood that these were problems even at independence. This issue of cattle rustling between communities, it has been there for the longest time. It was understood. It was a rite of passage for many young men. It was understood. This isn't a rite of passage.
No, it's not.
And what happened to that particular unit? Does one even hear of them? When it comes to...
even that the tradition of communities attacking one another, stealing their cattle, it wasn't just among those present-day pastoralist communities.
No.
It was among all communities.
It was.
The Maasai would attack the Luo, the Kipsigis would attack the Luo would venture into the Kipsigis, the Kikuyu and the Maasai, it would happen, the Kikuyu and the Maasai and the Kamba.
It is true.
We don't hear of these incidences between the Maasai and the Kamba anymore, or the Maasai and the Taveta or the Taita,
and those
or the
issues
Kikuyus. They were there. Why? Because this part of the country has been sorted. That one has been left. The lady who wants to be the woman rep for Baringo, when she was here a couple of weeks ago, she told us what a woman who is about 20 years older than her, who is a member of parliament, was telling us about Laikipia. Same thing. We don't have water. We don't have schools. We don't have roads. The only road leads up to this part. The only hospital is only in this particular part. The rest you don't have. Same story. And the places they are talking about are about 400 kilometers apart. But same story. No access, no roads, no schools, no health facilities,
no water,
no government services.
58 years after independence. What does that tell you?
And then you say, oh, these young people, it's a rite of passage.
No.
Oh, these young people, they have not gone to school. They ran away. In FGM is practicing this. What are you talking about?
There's no interest in getting it done. They never. And the lack of interest is fueled by the overriding commercial interest in this place. The overriding interest in doing business, having some more money in my pocket, right? And it's an investment on the sides of a few individuals who also then have what? Have government in the pocket. That's just it. Either are part of government that can pull the strings easily, or are bedfellows with members of the government who can actually do something for them in terms of protectionism. That's what we're talking about.
You asked the question about the money. Devolution seems to be the devil behind all this.
Yes.
Because devolution came with money. So you ask who has money? That money, the billions that are given, there are people who have access to that money.
Yes.
And they can use that money. And it is clear some are using that money.
Yep.
I mean, how do you explain we are in our 9th year, going to our 10th year of devolution? And you are being told that basic services in these communities and in the counties are not there. You ask, so all these monies that we keep hearing, yes.
What was it for?
I would have assumed health, schooling, water, basic. Those basics are simply still a story.
Yep. They are. And you have members of parliament from this area who have access to CDF as well. Okay. Yes. So you can argue, it's vast areas and all, and maybe the CDF has gone in there, here, and there. But still, we are talking about very many years of CDF, very many years of devolution, but 57 years of Kenyans running their own government. And you go to Tiati, you don't find the chief's office. You don't find a hospital. You cross over, that's Baringo. You cross over into Samburu, same. You cross over into Laikipia, same. Isiolo. Same. You go into Elgeyo Marakwet, same. Sure. What do you mean? When I see the residents of Elgeyo Marakwet petitioning the United Nations, I see what they're saying.
Absolutely. Because they've spoken to their direct representatives, time without number, and there's been no recourse or recompense. Nothing has been done. So you know what? The only other option for you then is to go external.
Yep.
Now, our rights, clearly, we're talking about basic human rights, have been completely abrogated by these people. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to go external. And maybe now you can compel these people to do something about this situation. Because you can imagine somebody is speaking today. Their fathers, their grandfathers have been in this same position that we're talking about now. And you have people who've come in. You've come to these same individuals. You've asked them, give me your vote so that I can then come into this position and do 1, 2, 3. You've done it 1, 2, 3, 4. In your lifetime, you've given them your vote 4 times. And nothing has happened.
This year, Kinoti, all these individuals who are behind these things, whether they are governors, senators, MPs, government officials, arrest these people.
They are the ones who need to be rustled up for crying out loud.
Arrest them, because you know who these people are. Arrest them. How do innocent people keep dying every single day? And we're reporting it, as you say correctly, as though it's livestock that died. And these livestock are owned by people. They're a source of wealth. How do you go around passing it as though it is normal? Since when are people dying through violence normal? Where? Where is it normal?
How is it? How can it just be passed on as normal? Actually, I hear what you're saying, City. Arrest the MPs, the governors and all. But I think, that's not enough. Go to the highest levels of government.
Yes.
Let's start with DCI. You're in charge of intelligence, right? And Inspector General of Police, you're in charge of police and security in the country. Those ones should go in. Go to Dr. Fred Matiang'i.
Intelligence NIC, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Go to Dr. Fred Matiang'i. You're in charge of security and coordination of national government.
It's under your watch.
It's under your watch that this is happening.
These things are going
this
wrong
is the person who should go in.
These things are going wrong under
We
your
have
watch.
seen arrests of local leaders. They've been arrested. They've been asked to come and record statements at DCI. Then they're released and, they hold a meeting. They go to State House. They sit with the president. They shake hands. They go home. Nothing changes. So Mr. President should actually order the arrest of the CS for Interior, the Inspector General of Police, the DCI, and the NIS boss. Those are the people. They should tell us what's happening in these parts of the country.
They have nothing to do with this, really. Because you must have some information, and that's what I'm saying. It's not a matter of maybe you know something. No. Because on lesser issues, you have succinct and clear information. You do. And then you're able to share with members of the public, in rapid succession what exactly is happening. So on matters like this, that have been prolonged, and that it is not the first time that they are occurring, you cannot convince me that you do not know the real situation of what is going on now. By virtue of the fact that these things have not stopped, that means you have the information, but you choose not to act on it. So you're at fault. 100% you're at fault. You cannot blame anybody else because you do your job, you make decisions, you enact certain things based on information, right? You've had information about lesser things and have been able to act on them. But here, lives of Kenyans are being lost on a daily basis. Every now and then this thing springs up, you make it very nice, you tell us a different story, it disappears for some time, then it comes back. You have the information, you choose not to act on it. It is the highest sin. And that Kenyans are dying as a result of it. It is indeed the highest sin. So you should pay for it.
It's interesting when you think about it.
Can you hold that thought for a bit?
I am holding that thought.
Okay, let's hear from Beatrice in Mombasa. Good morning, Beatrice.
You?
Good morning.
You're all well?
Yes, we are. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
Now, the issue of Laikipia, I think the way you have just spoken, the way the president did for the prison. You remember the 3 guys who disappeared from the prison?
Yes.
He then, what did he do?
He changed the management of the prison service.
He even sacked.
He sacked,
the
Yep.
And that is what he need to do. Because this is too much. We cannot be hearing this for the 59 years in this country. Because we used to have Maasai and Wakamba, and we used to have Maasai with Saveta, but do we hear them anymore?
Nope.
We don't. And the government officials, they're very good to talk on the media, but what is happening in the ground, it is zero. If the president can take these people home, I think that is the best way. Let them be aside. The DCI, the Matiangi, the PS of security, all of them, they need to go home.
Don't let them go home.
Once they are out of the system, then they should report to the president and tell the president what is happening. Because they are in this is a cartel. This is a cartel. Because if you go and arrest the local people there, they will tell you, maybe they will never say who are recruiting them to do this business, but this is a business which is going on for many years.
That's true.
So I think the president needs to remove the Ministry of the Security, tell them go home, give us the report, let's have other people to do.
That's
and
very
when
true.
you hear Mateng speaking, he speaks like
He'll sing
he's
like a canary.
second god. Yeah?
Thank you,
He
Beatrice.
speaks like he's the second god in this country, and he cannot manage Laikipia. Just one constitution, one county. One county.
Thank you, Beatrice. Lydia, good morning.
SpiceFM. This is a very important subject. Now, nearing elections, you'll see politicians with big trucks of animals. Where did they get them from to collect money for their election? And I heard one day in the media, Pokot, he said he works as a guard in Nairobi, but he doesn't want to go to his country home. When he was asked why, he said, if I don't rob your cattle and your sheep and kill your shepherd boys, he's called a jinga. So he must rob, otherwise he will be called a jinga if he doesn't rob.
Yeah.
This is their culture, he said. Thank you, Spice.
Thank you, Lydia. Mwalimu Irongo Amos in Kisii, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
City.
Yes, sir.
Habari ya leo?
Maridadi kabisa. Na habari yako?
Niko salama. Ndu, how do you do?
I do well, thank you, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
Mwalimu,
now,
talk about the insecurity. We have about 2 minutes to the top of the hour.
I'll summarize.
Yes.
Now, I remember when I was still in school, I think probably in primary, the Marakwets stole cows from the Pokot. And I think somebody by the name Francis, I don't know, something like Lototo.
Yep.
Francis was his first name.
Yeah, it was called Francis Police Lototo. If I'm not wrong, he was a cabinet minister, or at least an MP, and then he told
was a
the
cabinet
president,
minister.
Yes, he told the president then, I have given the government 24 hours to have our cattle back, or we will run over the Marakwets. And the cattle was returned. Around the year 2002, early 2003, I remember when President Kibaki came into power, he literally stopped all the nonsense that used to happen between the Kisis and the Luos around the Rongo here, between the Kisis and the Masai around Transmara here. What I'm trying to say is this. Those who are benefiting from this criminal enterprise are known, not just by the CS and E, they are known by the government, they are known by the president. What we are lacking is that political will. I think Hawa, I don't know. Because if I can add one more, I also remember one time when Moi was the president, And one of the military officers used it to run such criminal enterprise around the northeastern area. Sasa wakati ng'ombe walipatikana mahali, it was within the quarters of the military that the guy called Moya and told him, tafadhali hiyo mali ni yangu bwana, waambie wasimalize hiyo mali ni yangu. In short, it is the president who is harboring these people by not acting, and not these people that we are saying should be sacked. Because if others come, if the president does
he needs to dismantle the system.
Yes.
That's true. Thank you very much, Mwalimu.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Keep it right here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. And thank you for all the comments that are also coming on social media. Anthony says, but the CS for security is busy campaigning. Also wonders, how do you arrest governors? Patrick says, Kenya is a very business-minded people who will engage in any form so long as it pays. This cattle rustling is a business as well. It used to cross over into Uganda and vice versa. Go to Moroto now and see how that area has been transformed into agriculture. It's different. Different. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Ministry of Transport Chief Administrative Secretary Ovinya Deity maintains that the political relationship between Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and President Uhuru Kenyatta is still strong and will not be compromised by the new political structures that are being found by the country's political elite. Speaking in Machakos County, Ovinya called on Kenyans to pray for the country to have better leadership after the next year's general elections. Meanwhile, Ovinya has vowed to ensure that public healthcare services are properly provided if elected Machakos governor. She further called on senior officials in the Machakos County government to take responsibility for their work. Now, Kenya High Commissioner to Uganda, Kilonzo Julius Kiema, has launched his candidature to Kitui County gubernatorial race at his rural home in Kavulalula in Nzambani ward of Kitui East constituency. Kiema Kilonzo, who is also the former MP for Mutitu, now renamed Kitui East, said he will contest this seat through Wiper Democratic Party of Kenya. Kiema said that Kitui County leadership needs a radical transformational leader like him to fix the 5 years hiatus the county has experienced misrule under the current leadership. Now, the National Lands Commission has expressed optimism that it will solve long-standing land disputes at the controversial Chembe Kibabamche settlement scheme in Kilifi County. This is after they spent 5 days receiving evidence of claims made by landowners and squatters at the Watambu Social Hall in Kilifi North constituency. NLC Vice Chairperson Gethu Ngoko said commissioners had received evidence regarding the ownership of about 104 parcels of land being claimed by multiple owners, including squatters who claimed to have lived on the disputed pieces of land for decades. Ngoko explained that the scheme started as an adjudication process between 1974 and 1978, during which people were issued titles under the Registered Land Act. However, they were ordered to return the titles after the land was declared government land. Detectives have arrested 4 suspects, among them a former girlfriend to murdered Georgia-based medic Joseph Kariuki, who was killed 2 weeks ago. Others are 3 men aged between 19 and 22 years who are alleged to have been contracted by the woman to execute him after he refused to marry her. Georgia Sub-County Criminal Investigations Officer Richard Maura said the young men were arrested in Nyeri, while the 19-year-old girlfriend to the deceased was arrested in Kerugoya, Kirinyaga County. 2 knives and a Maasai sword that were used to execute the clinical officer and a mobile phone that was used to contact the deceased on the fateful night were recovered. Now, more than 3,000 small-scale farmers in Moiben constituency of Uasin Gishu County are expected to benefit from the 350 million shillings Lower Sabor Irrigation Development Project when complete. Water Sanitation and Irrigation Chief Administrative Secretary Andu Timur said the project that commenced in 2012 is currently serving over 700 farmers. Speaking during an inspection tour of the project, the CIS was confident that the number of farmers benefiting from the project would increase once the last mile of the project, which will consist of connecting infield pipes and the provision of irrigation equipment to the farmers at a cost of 40 million shillings, is completed. Now, as Kenya grapples with the effects of climate change, a non-governmental organization dubbed Send a Cow has joined the cause by training farmers in Western region on climate-smart agriculture and financial literacy. The NGO has transformed the lives of thousands of poor families faced with unpredictable rainfall, recurrent drought, insect, pests, among others affecting crops. Farmers have been devastated, but Send a Cow Kenya took the initiative to support them, especially in the western region of the country, to try and mitigate the situation. Working in partnership with local experts and subnational governments, it has influenced sustainable agricultural development in the region and enabled farmers to become food and income secure. And police in Kisii have launched investigations after a middle-aged man hacked his wife and 2 children in Gesoni village, Mosocho in Kisii, in a suspected domestic feud before surrendering to the police in Nyatieko police station within Kisii Township. Kisii County Police Commander Francis Colley said that Daniel Asiago committed the heinous act, after which villagers reacted by torching his 3-bedroom semi-permanent house. The 3 family members were later rushed to Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital in critical condition for emergency medical care. The suspect continues to be interrogated at Nyatieko police station. And hundreds of thousands of people marched to the presidential palace in Sudan's capital Khartoum in protest at the October 25th military coup, drawing volleys of tear gas and stun grenades from security forces. The outpouring of protest marked the 3rd anniversary of demonstrations that touched off a popular uprising which led to the overthrow of long-ruling Islamist autocrat Omar al-Bashir. This is Newswire. Dennis Arseto.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so traffic is not too terrible today. We're just looking at something's going on Milo Dinka Way, and this is just off of Langata Road, going in that westerly direction. So let's keep an eye on that. Any information, please let us know what might be going on there. Uhuru Highway, then past Nyayo Stadium out towards the city. That's also looking like has some action. Thika Superhighway has behaved beautifully today. Just a little bit of traffic here and there, especially around the Pangani underpass. Kiambu Road, trickle of traffic, not too bad. The eastern side of the city, coming off Donholm, the outer ring road, moving along slowly. We're not at a bumper-to-bumper situation. Some parts bumper-to-bumper, right around Kamkunji, where the bus stops this morning. On Landis Road today, we're seeing quite a lot of traffic there. Also coming out towards railways, a lot of it. Go figure, right? Let's talk in half an hour, see what it looks like in your neck of the woods. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
Indeed it is.
This
It's also
is
Kenya's biggest conversation at 7 minutes after 9. We are on to the final hour of the show this morning, and CT Muga has the day's Papa Shark.
Avuma baharini. Unavuma baharini. And then You arrive at this conclusion, Papa, kumbe ni wengi.
Actually, there's another version of that proverb. Avumaye baharini papa, kumbe wengine wapo.
True. You know, I'm thinking of these shark-infested waters of insecurity. And I'm looking at how it is you venture into it and you start with, communities, resource allocation. Then you look and say, no. This thing goes beyond resource allocation. Or young men who haven't been educated. It goes beyond it. Then you suddenly realize, my goodness, the issues surrounding this, not only are they far and wide, but they go to some of the highest offices in the country. Yes. Ni wengi. Shida ni nyingi hapa. Yes. The problems are many.
Yep.
Yes. And the perpetrators are many. And they are also known.
Yes. That's the bottom line. They are known. So, the COVID infection rate has actually been on the up and up.
Indeed.
We are at what percent now?
Positivity rate?
Positivity rate of 20?
24.4.
24.4% positivity rate for COVID. And this is serious. And there is an alarm as the cases continue to rise. Page 4 of the Standard this morning is dealing with this. Rising COVID-19 numbers pointed to a fifth wave. Data by the Ministry of Health reveals a rise in infections in the past 2 weeks, and experts are attributing the surge to the more transmission and more transmissible Omicron variant, failure to adhere to public health containment measures, and the Delta variant that's still dominant. The Deputy Director of KEMRI, Matilu Mwao, said although Delta is still the most dominant variant, Omicron is more infectious and with time, it may be more widespread. The numbers have begun to rise and are rising steadily and convincingly. This translates to a fifth wave, said Professor Matilu Mwao. More than 7,000 positive cases have been reported in the country from December 4th to December 18th, out of a sample of 75,000. We are going to see more people interacting and traveling across the country during this festive season. One of the things that we talk about COVID is it's transmissible because people are social beings. So people are going to get into public transport. Railway to Kisumu, fully booked.
Indeed.
Okay? That one is going to carry thousands of people.
Railway to Mombasa?
Railway to Mombasa, fully booked. Thousands of people. Buses from Nairobi to across the country, fully booked.
Look at the traffic today. We're not seeing traffic in most parts of the city. You're looking at traffic on Landis Road. What is on Landis Road? The
Machakos bus station.
We're seeing traffic on Haile Selassie, in and outbound. What is that? North Rift, Great Rift, Railways,
the
Zappo, there.
People are traveling. People are going to be traveling and they're going to be mixing. And then they'll come back and they'll continue. Schools were closed over the weekend. And then there's this whole week of school closures. And first week of January, back to school. After all that interaction. Okay. The government has, out of its a lot of effort and let's not call it sheer luck, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. Out of the good effort that they've done so far, they have received
23.2.
23 million doses of the COVID vaccine have arrived in the country. Out of those, 8-point-something million have been administered.
Yes, almost 9.
Almost 9.
8.8 million, yes.
So there's about 14 million or so vaccines available to be administered. And we're looking at what's the best time. At this time, when there's this rise in numbers, this should also be the time when we talk about increased vaccination. Yes, we have seen religious health facilities saying we are increasing the number of places where you can come and get access to this. But then the other conversation is, as people are traveling, as people are going to Machakos bus station and boarding buses, as they're going to all these bus stations, as they're going to the railway stations to board the trains, as they're going to the airport to travel to other parts of the country, this is a very good place to actually vaccinate people.
It's brilliant because the thing has been all this time where then people are not coming to the vaccination point and we've been making the argument, all right, then take it to them. You know, prescribed already that people are going to be going in a particular direction and that they will board a bus or that they will board a vehicle, they will board whatever mode of transport here. Do it there. People are going to board at Siokima. Have a vaccination point there. People are going to board at railways. Have a vaccination point there. People are going to board at Machakos bus station. You have entry and you have exit points. Have vaccination centers there. Put them up there. Here, it has almost been given to you on a silver platter that, all right, where can we find very many people who will be making the crisscross journey? Because remember, we said this virus on its own does not move, right?
Yep.
You move it. It needs a host in order to move. So we have a majority of the population that are moving at one point because of the festivities and because of school closures and school openings, and they are moving. But they're going to dock at certain points. They're going to embark at certain points. Use those points to vaccinate them because you've already said, okay, fine. They think it's 5th wave, 6th wave. It's okay. We are there. What we need to do is protect people, right? Give them the first line of defense.
Yep.
Leave the conspiracy theory. They are going to be there. Put them aside. Anti-vax, it's okay. Put them aside. What you're trying to do as a government is protect people. Yes? Yes. You know where people are going to be at a particular point in time. Over time. People are going to be traveling through the day over the next few days.
Yep.
Use the points that you have. You already have the infrastructure. You have the personnel. You have the security forces whom you've already told as a week ago that they will be working over Christmas. You've told them already that they will be working. So all this thing of going, forget it. Use them. Not to enforce, but to facilitate.
You know, it's possible, if we just think about it, for NMS to roll out vaccination points at Machakos bus terminus.
Yes.
At Country Bus, right? At all these other places where we know buses are being boarded. Buses for Mombasa, buses for western parts of the country, matatus and shuttles for western parts of the country, matatus and shuttles for the central Mount Kenya region. We know where they are boarded. Go to Nakuru. There's a new bus stop, an entire new bus terminus. If the county government of Nakuru were to do the same, just set up a vaccination point. People who come and you just tell them, walk in, we'll register you, we will facilitate this. It'll take less than 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you're done. You go.
You board into a matatu. In 2 weeks' time, you'll be due for a second dose. As you're coming back,
get it done.
You get it done here and go. At least we'll be able to see all these 14 million doses that we're talking about will be used up. Now, we spoke about NMS and what NMS did during Azimio La Umoja launch at Kasarani.
Yes.
They had set those tents for vaccination. They captured some people. They've also said that they've been doing also several places. 10
transport corridors. They have actually managed to set up those units, yes.
And it's bearing fruit. People are coming, people are getting injected. So there are, the people who are vaccine hesitant. There are people who are anti-vaxxers. We actually don't have very many anti-vaxxers in this country as a percentage of the population. We also don't have very many people in this country who are completely and 100% vaccine hesitant. No. That they'll say, I'm not going to take the COVID vaccine. Many would willingly take the COVID vaccine. It's access that has been a problem.
You see the efforts that have been made, they were made by the county, by the NMS.
Yes.
Made. They haven't continued. It's something that should be done throughout so that, as you say correctly, come January when people are returning to whatever bases they have. Remember, if you don't capture them in Nairobi, you can capture them wherever it is that they're also going because it's the same port. Where they disembark is where, again, they'll board to get back to it. Yes, exactly. Yes. So the example of the NMS is something that could be mirrored by the county government.
All counties, think about it. So people board matatus in Nairobi, they go to Nakuru, they disembark at certain bus stops.
They do.
Have the same. They go to Kakamega, same. Kisumu, same. Everywhere. Meru, Nyeri.
Everywhere in the country.
Just have the same in all these places. And you capture more people. And we deal with this Omicron variant and the way it's spreading and the severity. We support our health system by making sure that more people are vaccinated.
You know, the number of people who are willing to be vaccinated, I mean, far outstrips those who are unwilling or those who have questions.
Yeah.
But the talk of the availability and an absence of a corresponding literal availability or the knowledge of where it's available dampens the spirit. I mean, you will go once, you will go twice. Thereafter, you will get on with your business.
You're done.
Yes. And yet, an opportunity during Christmas has presented itself, and it's a unique one. Look at all those people who are boarding trains. Look at all those people. And with the train, we know where they're disembarking.
Yes.
This is it.
You just think about it.
And you know what? People say, oh, people are going to get off along the way. Even better.
Yes.
People are going to get off on the way, but it's a designated stop. It's not like you're going to get off in the middle of nowhere and then you just hop off the train. No. There's a station at which you will get off, right? Yes. Substation along the way. Have a point there. Do it there. Health is devolved, right?
Yep.
It is devolved. By that means that you have units around the country.
Yes.
Right? So the same personnel that you're using, because we say this system is, so you need to have people within the system who are coming and recording that data. Use this web that you have around the country anyway to get it done.
You know the personnel we use for polio vaccinations? It's not as though they leave the country once the polio vaccination is over.
No, they're still Kenyans.
They're still here and they still work for the government.
Yeah.
The machinery, the structure exists. The means also exist because we now have the vaccine.
Yeah.
So it's a question of now willingness.
Yep.
There is something that can be done.
And it should be done. Let's hear from you, 0719-012-600. Billy from Kisumu, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good
morning, Billy.
This issue of additional fees at one hospital, this thing is going to kill many people.
Say that again, Billy.
Excuse me, I have some cough.
Ole.
I'm saying these additional fees at one hospital. When this Linda Mama package came up, it has been long when we hear these our mothers going to midwife for deliveries and them dying there. And these people now are adding some additional fees. Actually, we are going back to where we are.
So it's going to discourage would-be beneficiaries of Linda Mama from going to health facilities.
Yeah, it was. When they are now adding additional. Look, 200 is more. Because right now they are adding additional fees on sugar, everything. You have to pack, you pay.
That's true.
You want to deliver, you pay. Even seeing a doctor, you have to pay right now.
That's true. That's very true, Billy.
We are going to take options of going to our local elders and giving us some help.
People will start looking for alternatives. We hear you, Billy. Thank you very much. Jack in Eldoret, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Jack?
I'm fine, but attention of that coronavirus.
Yes.
As me, I'm a DJ, so my work involves a lot of people there. Yeah, and it's very tricky to control people.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you tell people don't go, you remember the curfew time?
Yep.
They told people not to go outside, So everybody went outside to see who is outside. If all people, this thing is all about, this is just self-discipline.
Yes.
Jack,
let me ask
you.
Yes. In your county, Wasingishu.
Yeah.
Do you know where the COVID vaccine is available?
I normally hear it on other media stations.
What do they do? They
because
make announcements?
I'm a journalist myself, but I have not even seen that vaccine. And this, especially these public hospitals, when you go there, even for a malaria test, you're being sent to a private hospital. It's not there actually. So, and when you go there, you find that the hospitals are already overwhelmed with other diseases. So you find that getting that job is a dream. So if they are telling people to go there and get a vaccine, it's very costly because you can find like our town Eldoret serves more than 4 counties. So you find that it is very hard in terms of accessibility because somebody has to travel for a long a long distance to get that vaccine, and maybe that person cannot even afford that amount of money. You know, and also, again, people are not well educated about the vaccine. People are being scared about the side effects. And another thing, you can find that those people who are vaccinated are waiting for those who are not vaccinated to die. And those who are not vaccinated are waiting for those who are vaccinated to die. So even everybody is confused.
Everybody's watching the other.
Yeah.
There's
So
something
this
you said
thing-
that I'd like you to explain if you don't mind. You said that the county you come from is serving 4 other counties. Please expound on this a little bit.
Eldoret town.
Yes.
Yeah, it serves, you can find that Nandi County relies on MTRH, Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Yeah, you can find Elgeyo Marakwet County is being served by Eldoret. Even Trans Nzoia itself, they normally send their patients to Eldoret. Even you can find even the county from the western side is being relied by Eldoret. So you can find that we serve, even us, suppose we are in Ngekua City, you know, because our county is being overwhelmed. So you can find that even if we are trying to vaccine the whole population, is still hard unless they could do door to door as they were doing for other diseases like polio, like other diseases. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Jack. 0719-012-600. The proposal we are raising this morning is, can we have the county governments rolling out vaccination and vaccination campaigns at bus stops and major transport hubs, whether it's a railway station or the bus station, where you are going to have very many people congregate during this festive season to travel. As they arrive or as they board to head elsewhere, have vaccination spots there. You're going to have more people coming to get the vaccine. You are registering into one platform anyway. It doesn't matter whether you got your vaccine in Mombasa or in Turkana. You are all registering under one platform, the M-Chanjo.
Yeah.
So then, it doesn't really matter. Board a matatu here and you're traveling. You're going for a holiday somewhere in Tsunguni in Kilifi County. Get the jab here.
Get it done.
As you're leaving Tsunguni 3 weeks from today, it'll be about time for you to get the second jab. Get the jab in Tsunguni.
I'm interested to know, we've had challenges coming from individuals saying that, well, just like we've heard now, maybe it's far, the vaccination point, for example, is far from where I am, or I go there in the morning and I'm told that it's not available and I have to come back the next day, etc. What have we heard as a challenge coming from the Ministry of Health in terms of getting this vaccine out there? What have we heard them say? This is our challenge, folks. We have 15 million vaccines. The problem is 1, 2, 3. I haven't heard. Have you heard that they've said these are the problems that we are having? And we can't have people, we're not getting people coming out to get vaccinated because of 1, 2, 3. I haven't heard that they've said anything, but there clearly is one. So if it's that people are not coming out to get it, so here is one solution. Take it to them.
Take
you
it
know
to
where
people.
they're going to be. Take it to them.
And this one is not door to door.
No.
Remember we had a caller from Nyeri who told us that he witnessed a situation where people were actually getting vaccinations at home. The door-to-door policy that is characterized by polio vaccinations was being seen. So it means there are people who've understood the need to actually do it.
Yes.
This is the best time to roll it out. And this is the best time to capture as many people as possible.
And you will. But even more importantly, beyond just traveling venues, where people gather for concerts or whatever. See, there's the assumption that you must vaccinate people in the daytime. Not necessarily. You can also vaccinate people at night.
At night.
Yes. I mean, sincerely,
it's just
you can.
effective,
We don't have curfew. People are going to go out. What stops you from actually vaccinating people?
That's an absolutely strong point there, CT. Because we've actually seen, during this festive season, there are very many concerts being held.
Yes.
So the organizers of these concerts, what they're asking for is either a COVID vaccination certificate or a negative PCR, negative test for you to join the concert. How about you also set aside an area where people can
get vaccinated? Yes. It doesn't cost you a thing. It's just part of the package.
As these facilities, the private facilities, are also saying, okay, because of the government directive, we are not going to allow people who are not vaccinated to enter. How about you as a mall in Kilimani area, and you've told people you can't enter? How about you just set up a vaccination point there?
So that they can enter, because it would do you good if more people came into your establishment to do business.
And people are going to go to malls.
Yes.
In large numbers. What stops you?
So apart from the bus stops, there are also private entities that can be involved in this. Because look here, okay, it seems like an all hands on deck situation that we're in right now. Okay, government can do certain things. Private entities as well. You're not going to allow people into your facility because of 1, 2, 3. And I am I am sure that if you went to ministry today and said, okay, here I have this establishment really busy in terms of foot traffic.
My catchment is X number of people per day.
Can I have a section? I don't think Ministry of Health would tell you no. I don't think they'd say, what? No, we're not giving you. No.
They will deploy stuff. 0719-012-600 callers, and we have this conversation with you. Anthony from Nairobi, I can see you calling. Just allow us to take this break, take a look at the traffic and the weather, and then we will pick your calls. What is the best way to exhaust the 15 million doses of COVID vaccine that are currently available in the country? Kenya has received about 23-point-something million doses. Almost 9 million have been used so far. We have 14 million or so. How can we best make sure that these vaccines are actually in people's arms? Because there are very many people who are willing to get vaccinated. Others just don't know where to. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM. "24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
Deep fried, choma, stew, breast, wings, gizzards, thighs, quarter, half, sausages. There's no greater meat than chicken. Knowing the source of your chicken, however, is key to truly enjoying your favorite dish. Tune in to Sugar and Spice from 11 a.m. with Yolanda Mulwa and DJ Absolute to learn more about how Kenchik is cuckoo about food safety, nutrition and taste from farm to family.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
It's the festive season, and as always, Naivas has the season all set for us. This year, Naivas Christmas Kiroko is here, and we have something special in store for everyone. This 8th to the 14th of December, choose from thousands of products and enjoy massive Jamhuri Week offers across all Naivas outlets to enjoy with Naivas Christmas Kiroko. This Jamhuri Week, you are sorted. Join me on the Spice FM drive from 3 p.m. to win yourself a Naivas shopping voucher worth 3,000 shillings. Naivas Christmas Kiroko. Shinda kokote, sherekea kikwetu. Naivas saves you money.
It's mostly cloudy in Nairobi at 21,
the weather.
Highs of 25 and lows of 16. Mostly sunny conditions at 19 in Nakuru City. Highs of 25 and lows of 13. Mostly sunny at 19 in Nyeri. Highs of 23 and lows of 15. And we're looking at mostly cloudy conditions in Eldoret at 19 with highs of 24. We'll see lows of 14. The rain continues to pelt in Mombasa at 32. That will be the high for today. It's currently at 29, lows of 25. And Malindi raining as well at 29, highs of 31. Kisumu is sunny at 24, highs of 29 and lows of 19. While in Kakamega, it's sunny at 25. We'll see highs of 30 and lows of 16. Looking at mostly sunny conditions at 24 in Kampala with highs of 26. And 31 will be the high with rain showers in Dar es Salaam. Johannesburg is mostly cloudy at 14, highs of 22. It's still really cloudy and hazy in Lagos at 25, highs of 34 and lows of 23. Kinshasa is raining at 26, highs of 32 and lows of 24. All right, we're looking at Cloudy conditions in Paris at 5, highs of 6 and lows of -1. Out in Beijing going into early evening Monday, it's 13 degrees and sunny, highs of that and lows of -4. Cloudy conditions at 6 in London, highs of 8 and lows of 4. It's -1 in New York, still very early Monday morning. We'll see highs of 4 and -1 will be the low. Okay, so traffic situation today hasn't been too crazy. We're just seeing the CBD. Quite some traffic this morning. Jogo Road as well. Coming off Langata Road just a little bit, then going towards Raila Odinga Way. But Mombasa Road has looked pretty good today. Coming off Landis and Kamkunji, that whole area is where we see some traffic into the CBD. Keep an eye on things this morning. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Bless you. Bless you again.
So let's keep talking about Showmax, www.showmax.com. Have you visited that site? All right. So you get access to a lot of entertainment content and also a lot of sporting content on Showmax, just depending on whatever package you choose. You can go for Showmax or Showmax Mobile, or you can go for Showmax Pro or Showmax Pro Mobile. The pros have access to live sport from SuperSport and also live news from several TV channels. And the ones without a pro have access to all. They just don't have access to the live sport, but they have access to programming, including children's programming, movies, documentaries, series, all your favorite Showmax originals, and also local content, a lot of local content. www.showmax.com.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings
25 minutes to 10. We are at the beginnings of what appears to be a new wave of COVID-19. Positivity rate has risen to above 20%. We're at 22% positivity rate. 24% positivity rate. Yet we have very many vaccines available in the country. We have close to 15 million vaccines available in the country now. So how do we get more and more people vaccinated, especially during this festive season when more and more people are going to be traveling? That's what we're saying. Can we have the vaccination drives at the bus stops and the railway stations and all these other places where people congregate as well? Let's hear from you. 0719-012-600 from Nakuru. Priscilla, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Fine.
We're fine, thank you. I'm fine. Ndu is fine. Sweetie is fine.
Okay. You remembered. Oh, my goodness.
Some things are unforgettable.
He never forgets.
Oh, okay.
He keeps asking about you.
I'm right here. Schools are closed, so I am only looking after 2 of my children. So I have all the time to listen to you guys, which is so great. Yeah.
Asante, Priscilla.
Asante.
Okay. So, yeah, I woke up to this, you guys talking about, places where people can set up and guys get vaccinated. And I was so excited because a few months ago, not a few, very many months ago, my daughter told me, she's studying in the UK, she said outside clubs, they had set up vaccination areas. And she said there were big notices. It's as easy as getting a beer.
So, that's what the notice is saying.
Yeah. So, people would come and get vaccinated. So I was just thinking, all these places that you're talking about, the clubs, the matatu areas, maybe we need to contract our artists here and get their creative juices going and put up, placards or positive things, not things that scare people.
Yep.
yeah, just get those notices going, and when you look at it, you just want to get that jab.
That's true, because it actually is as easy as getting a beer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you very much, Priscilla.
That's my contribution. Thank you.
Asante sana.
Thanks,
Happy
Priscilla.
holidays to you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Anthony, Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, Latif and team.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I think the major challenge that the ministry is not really telling people, they are refusing to accept, I think is handling of the vaccines. Most of these vaccines require very low temperatures. So moving them around, putting them around all over.
It's mainly the Pfizer vaccine.
Sorry?
It's mainly the Pfizer vaccine that requires extremely low temperatures.
Okay.
Others are fridge temperature.
Then it falls down to normal lethargic reactions. The government reacts. It's common sense that they should be taking these things to. Right now, they should have a vaccination camp at Merikiti, this common market. And then there are these negative reports that scare people. Like I saw some headline in some news house was saying that a certain vaccination causes some heart inflammatory or something. Such scaring headlines without specifics scare people away off these drugs. And then recently this the big Homa that is going around.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'm recovering from one right now. I think it's inaccurately captured as most of it being corona or something, because most of people are recuperating by taking normal antibiotics. The way we treat normal sore throat.
Yes.
People just recover, but the government is so alarmist. Some of these things it's counteractive to government. Yeah.
That's true.
So that's how I see it. Yeah.
Thank you, Anthony. Asante sana. 0719-012-600-10 on Mombasa Road. Call back, please. We were just about to pick your call. Patrick says something.
It's interesting what he says about this vaccine. The latest number of unvaccinated persons are people who do day jobs. Right? The only way is the government to position its vaccination points in transit centres. For example, at the Likoni ferry crossing, 60,000, or he says 600,000 cross that place per day.
So all these places, Likoni, all right? People are coming as they cross because it's not difficult to get this vaccine.
You have an entry point and you have an exit point.
And before you board the ferry, you have to wait.
You have to wait. So at the waiting point, that is
your jab.
Perfect opportunity to get your jab and go.
Get registered, get your jab.
The place where these people are, they're already available. You don't have to create anything. You don't even have to mobilize for it.
They're already mobilized.
They're there. The people are there.
You know, there's a gentleman who listens to us, great deal, called Pete Bill. So he says, why not even have a vaccination station inside the train?
Yes. As the train is moving, why not?
Honestly.
Why not? The journey between Nairobi to Nakuru is how many hours we saw? Was it 4 hours?
Yeah.
That's enough time to vaccinate very many people.
Indeed. It's possible to do. If we just want to think a little bit broader in terms of what's possible, these things can be done. So when that initial, call it shock, that people are not coming out has been dealt to you by those who have the power to get this done. It's been dealt to you and you realize, okay, hold on, folks are not coming out. Next thing, what can we do? Because the resolve has already been communicated to us. Government has said the point is to have everybody vaccinated, right? Because they realize the importance of doing just so. It didn't start with COVID. Like we say, so many other diseases for which there's a vaccination. Government has been very sturdy on its position. And this has taken that position as well. And we want to make sure that we're protecting people. All right, that's done. Put it aside. Okay, now what action must you take to get this done? It's to vaccinate people, right? Right. Go where they are. This concept is not new. if we're here sitting like and thinking that we've come up with something fantastic this morning, sorry,
It's being done,
we haven't. The same government has done it before. They've even been more granular about it by going to homes.
You know, I'm reminded of a time when we wanted to test fishermen. Now, they fish at night. Some come in at, say, 6 in the evening, some at 9, some at 3 in the morning. And waiting for them, because when they come, they want to sleep. So what do? You set up camp at night and even have shifts so that when they dock, you're there. And they know because you've told them in advance.
Yeah.
At whatever hour they dock. And just doing this alone is what made us understand, for instance, how it is the prevalence was so high among fisherfolk. And why it is that, in fact, the prevalence was shocking. It was truly shocking. Yes. So you realize a lot more care has to be taken when you're dealing with this. Remember, they were uncaptured. So you didn't have that data. Now, but the moment you made it possible for them to actually have it without moving, they found you there. There are many things that we talk about which are not only possible, but they don't even require that much effort. No, they don't. It's just a question of determining this is what we are going to do and how we will do it. How is it that the Nairobi Metropolitan Service has been able to map out 10 corridors, transport corridors, and do it? Okay, they did it and stopped. But they've done it, which means they can now, and if they were gathering data to find out what they need to do, they will improve it, expand it, and even have it over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Yes. But before we even get there, what have we been doing with polio? Every single year, without fail, we have it. And it's a successful drive throughout the country. Throughout. Now we have the vaccines. You know, when that gentleman from Eldoret called, I was just thinking, if some of those far-flung counties, far-flung in the sense that some of the services that the citizens would expect is not available, for whatever reason, you wonder if now the county governments actually took the initiative to ensure that they could make, because this vaccination process is not a complicated one. It's not. If they made it possible and determined, let's get it done. What will stop them from getting it done? The easy thing is let your people bother and find out ways in which they can get vaccinated. Surely. And you have a responsibility. And you also have the means because you have the money for it.
And it's a whole thing, they'll complicate issues. People need to be trained on how to, how they vaccine. People need to be trained. How many people are trained on how to inject people in this country?
Every person who calls themselves a healthcare worker understands it.
Yes.
They even do refreshers every now and then.
So
what did we hear from Dr. Kwale at some point? He said, you know what we're going to do? Part of the mobilization that we're talking about is mobilizing health workers so that they can get trained, because there's a way this particular jab is administered that maybe needs a little bit of checking.
It's also just creating stories. Have we not been told that people are being jabbed in pubs? You go into pharmacies and you're getting jabbed.
Yes.
So it's not at a difficult course that requires, in service that you go in and stay and board for 2 weeks for you to learn how to. It's not.
It's a skill you already have.
Yes.
You already know.
You're just being told, okay, let's refresh it so that you get it right with this.
And this is how you do it so that you don't lose, because, there's about all those losses and how
we don't want to
this is
lose
how
so
you do
much.
it.
Yeah.
You already have the basics. It is something that will be done within a very short time, and roll out the people. Have all these community health workers trained. They will be there. They'll be available. If you're talking about, okay, so if we go to bus stops, if we go to markets, if we go to Likoni, it means that we are getting nurses from hospitals so they can go to...
Yes,
so now, yes, but also in addition to that, you also have other people, community health workers. You have others.
Yes, you do.
Already, those nurses are not doing their daily job. They're sitting somewhere in a tent waiting for people to come.
Can you imagine? From morning till evening, they
So
sit and
instead of
wait for
waiting,
people to
why
come.
don't you take them to where the people are?
This is an opportunity that I really hope that will not be wasted. There's hundreds of thousands of people who could actually get this shot. Will get it. If we just tweak things a little bit. You see, this is not working. You move in this direction. I really hope this opportunity will not be wasted, because we're also looking at 15 million vaccines that have a shelf life, right?
They do.
And after some time, they will be expired and you will not be able to use them. It will be a huge waste in terms of a resource. but it'd also be a huge waste in terms of an opportunity to get something done and done right, and to protect people. I really, really hope that it's not too late. Even today, we are talking about things that can be done today.
Yeah.
We're talking about possibly 20 vaccination centers that can be set up around the country today as people are traveling. We're looking at Mombasa. We're looking at Busia. Look, we're even looking at border crossings whereby people are stopping to pass through at the border. Why do we not have vaccination centers put up there? Why? These are options that we have available to us. Take heed. Let's do something about it today so that we are talking in 2 weeks, not about the same situation, so that you can actually say, we did everything that we could to make sure that this was done. It's just people and their, hard skulls who refuse to come and get it done. Okay, let's hear that you did everything possible. But here we are. 2 weeks from now will be the first week of the next year. We should not be having the same conversation. It's a very long time to have something done, by the way. Today, we say that you make the decision to go and do this. So don't sit and wait. Go out. It's not difficult to deploy this and let it get started today. It isn't. Gather up all the resources that you have in Mombasa.
Yep.
Put them at the Likoni Ferry, for example, where you have these hundreds of thousands of people moving throughout the day. Machakos bus station here. Railways here. Set it up. In Nakuru. Move it along. Move it west. You can do it. Why don't we just get it done?
And markets.
Let's not be complaining about the same situation come the 3rd of January. Let's not. Let's look at those numbers and see that they've dwindled down to 3 million, 2 million. And we know that people have been vaccinated. It'll be very painful to hear that those 15 have expired and we didn't do anything with them and we still have a vulnerable population here.
As Jack was saying from Eldoret, there are those who have been vaccinated and they're watching those unvaccinated, seeing whether they're going to die. Yeah. And then there's the unvaccinated watching those that have been vaccinated, seeing whether they're going to die because of the effects. So it's not the refusal. It is just the uncertainty.
It's hesitancy.
There's that hesitancy. How about just making it available for people who are willing to get it?
Yes.
So they can become the example then is more people who have gotten vaccinated and they have not died.
No, and they're
so you can
walking
say,
around
okay,
doing
everybody else can look at, okay, this guy got vaccinated
he's
7 months ago. This one got vaccinated and he's all right.
There are trusted venues like religious institutions.
Yeah.
Once there's an understanding that you can actually have the same service available. Because when people go to religious, they're usually not in a hurry. They will attend the services and then thereafter, they're also willing to sit and chit-chat and discuss the weather with their friends and the people whom they meet there. Now, bottom line is this. If you consider just the basic value of what is known to work and what can actually work, we're not discussing something difficult.
No,
we're also not discussing something that can't be done. No, we're not. We're discussing something that if it isn't done, we need to then ask, why is it not being done? Because it can be done.
It can be done with use of minimal resources. Ali in Mombasa, good morning.
Good morning, everyone in the Situation Room.
Good morning, Ali.
I even say at the bus stages, because the bus now travel all over the country. A bus has 60 people. 40 people. If you vaccine 10 people, because the bus, you are asked to go 1 hour before, half an hour before. And it's all over the country. You can get how many people, apart from the train and the ferry?
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's very true. Asante sana. 0719-012-600. How can we get more and more of these 15 million doses of vaccines into people's arms? We really have nothing to show that people are not willing to get vaccinated.
No.
That people do not want the vaccine. That, there's a lot of negative. Yes, there are very many negative stories.
There will always be. There will always be.
The thinking of, let me call it that, the negative and defeatist approach to life is something that some people prefer. So whenever a solution is provided for, one could say that they're troubleshooting, so they provide an alternative perspective, and it is welcome and it is a good thing to do. However, COVID isn't one of those things that should only be rendered to the realms of academic discussion. Because you're talking about human lives, and you're talking about a way that is known and that is available to protect those lives. This is the simple conversation about a vaccine. A means to protect you from the ravages of the illness and to protect you from possible death exists. It doesn't get more complicated or even simpler than just that. But so long as it isn't available, and as you put it correctly, Eric, you cannot know whether what it is that is actually spurring on what we see at the low numbers. We don't, because people have not had the availability in their faces. Let it be available every and anywhere.
Eliminate that as an option. That's what I'm saying. Eliminate the issue of availability. That's what. So has it been that people have said, "All right, I'm not getting the vaccine because I don't know where to go and get it." Okay. Eliminate that by taking it to where you know people are going to be, at least in the majority, over a certain period of time. So cross that out, and the next one, cross it out. So that at the end of the day, when you're still left with these big numbers and people have not come up, then you can say, all right, then it's not us. It's people who just are not willing.
You know, in a time not very long ago, when President Kibaki came into power, one of the things that he did, he opened up the banking space by making it possible to receive what we now call personal loans and which you take for granted. Something very unprecedented happened. Banks were hawking loans. You found them everywhere. You find a tent, you find somebody hawking a loan.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't have an account, that account would be open for you.
Open account, chap, apply, and we'll tell you within 48 hours we'll have processed and approved your loan.
And they're not lying. They're not lying. Now, when you find a commercial outfit taking the time to do that, and when I say they were everywhere, man, these tents were everywhere.
Yeah.
Now,
set up in a matter of time.
Yes, that is a commercial venture. Now, how much more important is it if you're referring to not livelihood, but you're referring to a life and death matter?
A life-saving venture now.
Yes. How much more important? Now, again, as you put it, the Ministry of Health hasn't told us of the encumbrances that they've had to this particular initiative. They haven't told us we've been trying and these are the problems that we're having. So we don't know.
No.
Now, even if they said it, unfortunately, it is their job to find those solutions. Yes, it is their job. And the solutions are within their purview.
Our government does not like working hard. That is something that is strenuous. Nah. Why do that? Why you can force people to do something? Come up with an edict that says, you're not going to access services if you don't. I'm not forcing anybody. We are not mandating anybody to get the COVID vaccine. However,
if you want to access services, you do it online.
That is not mandating.
That is dictating.
Don't come to the office.
And
just
yet
do it
you have
online.
not actually said, this is where we are going to make it easier for you to access the vaccine. The whole thing about government is looking at the people and thinking, these people are kichwa ngumu. That's all.
That's the attitude, isn't it?
That's the attitude of government. I got the vaccines and we put it in the news and you saw them arriving. So why aren't you vaccinated?
What again do you want? You've been shouting for vaccines. Here they are. Then you want me now to do more.
You want me to bring the vaccine to you and bring it to... No, I'm not bringing it. You look for it. It's in Kenya. That is the attitude of government.
It's in Kenya.
Yeah.
That's it.
The vaccine is in Kenya, okay? You're saying you don't know where it is, but it's in Kenya.
Find out. Kenya. Find out where it is in Kenya.
Every day we are releasing these vaccines to go to the country. Can you now look for where that vaccine is?
Do we tell you which school to take your children? No.
You just know that there are schools in Kenya, right?
In the same way. Vaccine is important. Find out.
It.
Go find. And if you don't get vaccinated, don't come to a Huduma center.
You find it online. Hey, God.
This is... If only it changes attitude. If the government changes attitude. The things that we talked about this morning. This one. The attitude of 12 people dying and it just passes. That somebody sleeps peacefully at night.
No problem.
Some Kenyans lost their cows. Okay.
See,
What happened? Was it drought that killed the animals? Or was it another human being that killed animals? Cows died. It's okay. Yeah. Some Kenyans died.
Hey, Pole.
That's unfortunate.
How many? 4? Hey, Pole.
Poleni sana. But we are going to arrest people.
And we're going to send people to the ground.
Yes, we are going to arrest people. That's the attitude of government. What happened? There was an accident somewhere on River Nziu and people died and there was. But why do people just cross? Can't you just use your brain? Why?
See that this
you
place
can
has
see this
water.
is water.
Why should you enter water?
Why are you crossing? That's the attitude of government. This festive season, people are dying. But why are people driving so fast? Why do we have careless drivers? This is really... The place that the accident happened the other day, and 3 school children who had just closed school from Chogoria Girls and were coming home, where they died at Kambiti. Right?
Yes.
It's a construction site.
It is a construction site.
Okay? So we cannot say that this is a smooth section of the road where bus... No. But the government attitude, you'll hear. You've heard it already.
Driving too fast.
People are driving carelessly. These matatu drivers. We need to increase more police on the roads. We this and the other. That is the attitude of government.
But when are you completing the expressway again?
The expressway? Early next year.
First quarter 1, 2022.
Quarter 1, huh?
Early next year.
Early next year. That's good. And the section that they said they were going to open, have they opened?
2 parts of the 4 have been opened.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're fully opened, eh?
Yes, of the 4, 2 parts have been opened.
Okay, that's good.
What does that mean?
See, they were supposed to open this one here at Samir General Motors. They were supposed to open the other one at Gateway. We're still waiting for that one. This one down here.
Just tell them to close them.
Airtel.
We're okay. We know how we're going.
We know the Panya rules.
And what about on that Wayaki way beyond it?
They said they would open it.
Anyway, City, tell us the dates probably.
Right. Avumai Baharini. Monotone now. Papa. Kumbe ni wengi. Look, why is it that you must live in a country where the very people on whom you depend on and whom you pay through your hard-earned money via the taxes to provide a good living and a livelihood for you, why are they the ones who always appear to be the culprits who are behind the problems that you have? Papa ni wengi.
Sana.
I think it's just this one.
The wengi. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's Biggest Conversation. Join us tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. We'll be here, God willing. Have a lovely day. It's now 10 a.m.